tournament has always been there since the Masters began in 1934. It didn't get its name until '58, though, when American sports writer Herbert Warren Wind, on the left, wrote, "At the farthest reach of the Augusta National Course, down in the Amen Corner." He drew inspiration from the 1933 jazz song Shouting in That Amen Corner by the Dorsey Brothers. The reason behind its difficulty is all in the sand and the water. Tournament officials don't even bother to count the balls lost in there each year, such is the sheer number. The 11th, named White Dogwood, is a downhill 520-yard par 4 with a pond to the left of the green and a bunker to the right. Both cause a lot of trouble each year. The 12th, Golden Bell, is perhaps the most famous hole in the world, with danger everywhere. Many aim for the flag, but look, get it even slightly wrong and you're in the azaleas at the back, or the bunkers at the front, or even worse, Rays Creek. Or you can play it safe and aim for the open green on the left. You chicken. Tiger Woods once said, if you make 4 bogeys from Thursday to Sunday, you're doing well. And the highest ever score on that hole? 13. It's a par 3. Tom Weiskopf in 1980 was the sorry soul. Often the iconic Ben Hogan Bridge is the only thing players enjoy about Golden Bell. Even if you escape there unscathed, though, you met with Azalea, the dogleg par 5 13th. It tempts players to go for the green in 2, but cut over those trees on the left at your peril. Every year, it seems, Amen Corner destroys someone's dreams. Rory McIlroy dropped 3 shots through here as his round unravelled in 2011. In 2016, a year after navigating Amen Corner expertly, Jordan Spieth shot a quadruple bogey on the 12th to throw away his green jacket. I mean, it sounds like my game, to be honest. So who'll be the next to be brought to their knees, praying for mercy after Amen Corner?
Good morning, it's 3 minutes past 6 o'clock, Tuesday, September the 2nd. We can all breathe a big sigh of relief. Thank goodness that's over, at least for a few more months. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with Arnold Clark. Get the UK's best used car deals, guaranteed. I'm Jeff Stelling, and Ally McCoist is with us live in Glasgow. Morning, Coisty.
Jeff, good morning, mate. How are you, pal?
I'm fine, thanks, mate. Have you recovered from your sort of trains and boats and planes episode last night?
Oh, Jeff, it's up there with the worst ever, mate. It is up there for the worst ever. I've got a shortened version for you. How about that?
Yeah, go on. You give us the full length. We don't mind.
Oh, my God. The full length's ridiculous. Right, so I'm booked on the 8 o'clock to come down to the city, right, which is perfect. So I normally check in about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. So this is where I should have smelt a rat. I'm trying to check in at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and they're not allowing me to do it. So anyway, I don't really think anything more of it. But around 6 o'clock, I get a text to say that the flight is delayed to. Actually, I'll read out the email comes through, right? No, I beg your pardon. I got a text to say the flight is delayed to 9:35. I thought, well, that's not great. I said, but anyway, I'll take it in the chin and get in there. So I got into the airport, and I get there. I thought, I'll get there. I better get in there a little bit early. So I get in there about 7:15 for my 8 o'clock flight, which is now going off at 9:30. And I get up to the desk because I've not got a boarding pass. And the girl says to me, the flight's delayed. She said, I can't check you in. I can't. I said, why not? She said, the flight's closed. I said, the 9:30 flight is closed at 18 minutes past 7. She said, yes. I said, why is that? She said, well, we just close it. And that, by the way, this girl, to be fair to her, doesn't work with British Airways. She works with somebody else. So I said to her, okay. I said, well, you check me in, you get me a ticket. She said, I can't, the desk's closed. I said, but he said the desk doesn't close till 40 minutes before the flight. And I said, it's 42. She says, I know, but it's closed. And I went, okay. I said, what are you going to do? She said, I'll give you a ticket to get through. And then once the gate comes up, you can go up and see if you can get yourself a seat because there's plenty of seats on it. I went, okay, fine, no bother. So I get through, Jeff. And I'm looking up at the board, and there is not a flight to London City, right? So anyway, and I'm looking for something. There's nobody from British Airways there. So eventually, there's another worker guy there, and I go up to him and I say, can you give me any insight in this flight to London City, please? He said, no, I can't, sir. You'll just have to wait. I went, okay. So I'm sitting there, nothing till maybe well after 8 o'clock. And then it comes up, London to Southend, right? So I said, what's going on here? So there's nobody to ask. So there's a lady sitting there. I said, have you got any idea what's going on here? She said, well, I've phoned British Airways and I've managed to speak to somebody in London. This is at Glasgow Airport, by the way, Jeff, right? I've just phoned London. I've spoke to somebody at London and they've told me that the London City Airport is now going to Southend, right? So I've quickly looked, prior to this, there's actually a flight to Heathrow. So I still can't get empty for British Airways, but I get somebody from some service air company who I know, and they say to me, Ali, you've no chance. That flight to Heathrow is 12 people overbooked.
Oh, my goodness.
So you're not getting on that. So anyway, the woman said to me, they've just told me that the Southend flight, the 8 o'clock to London City, is now leaving at 10:10 to go to Southend, right? And I said, what's your plans for Southend? She said, I've checked it up as well. She said, they're either going to put on a bus, which will get us to London City 2 hours later, or there is a train that changes twice and you get to Liverpool Street about 1:40.
Oh, my God.
So just to climax, I'm looking at my phone, Jeff. Brilliant. And there's an email comes in from British Airways. It says, dear Mr. McCoist, we're sorry your flight BA379 to London City is running late. Your new estimated departure time is 20:35, right? Do you know when they sent it, Jeff? At 20:38.
Brilliant.
So anyway, the bottom line is I had to get a taxi back home, and I got back home about 9 o'clock or 9:30 after I spoke to you. That was a disaster, mate. A disaster. Anyway, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. And thank you for the short version of your travel issues. There'll be a 2-hour special podcast released tomorrow with a full version. Stay tuned for that. Yeah.
The good news is that's killed the first segment of the show.
Yeah. By the way, you're going to Southend. You need to be more accurate. It's London Southend.
Oh,
because that's how they brand the airport. Now, if you've ever been to Southend, you'll know that in no planet could it be called London Southend. You know, I mean, it's an hour on the train. I know they've followed in the footsteps of London Luton, which obviously isn't London either, but still, never mind. No, look, I'm good, thanks, mate. I mean, better mention the transfer window's closed.
I think we probably should.
Lots of standout deals. Obviously, Isak to Liverpool, Wissett to Newcastle, Jadon Sancho to Villa, Elliott on loan to Villa as well, Randall Colomwani to Spurs. Not forgetting Connor Chaplin returning to Portsmouth, the biggest signing on deadline day Grant tells me that, and he's put in block capitals underneath. Read it, Jeff. So there you go, Grant. He's gone on loan from Ipswich back to the club where he was in the academy. That's where it all started off for him. So he's gone back on loan now. Was there a standout signing for you, Coisty?
I'm not sure.
Apart from Connor Chaplin, obviously.
Yeah, apart from Connor, I've got to say, Colomianity Spurs and loans are an interesting one. I just look at Villa as well. Got a couple of loans in, obviously Jadon Sancho and Harvey Elliott. I think they were desperately needing bodies to get in. But the Isak one, I always felt was going to happen. Probably the standout one was the one that didn't happen at the end of the day, Jeff, to be brutally honest with you. And that was Mark Gay to Liverpool, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was on and off about 3 or 4 times. So that was probably believe it or not, that was maybe the bigger news of the day for me, crazy as it may seem, but the rest of them were pretty much anticipated, particularly the 2 to Liverpool and Newcastle. Maybe.
Yeah. We'll hear from Alexander Isak in a moment. I just have to mention Griff from Kings Lynn, regular contributor. He says, "Hi lads, great show today. See you tomorrow."
Brilliant.
Thanks, Griff. Thanks. Yeah, so look, as we all knew, it was always going to end this way. Alexander Isak to Anfield, Liverpool breaking the British transfer record twice during the course of this summer. After the deed was done, Isak spoke briefly to Liverpool TV last night.
I think it's a mixture of what the club is building, but what they're building on top of what the club already is and the history of the club. So I think just me getting the chance to be a part of this, and I want to create history. I want to win trophies, and that's ultimately the biggest motivation for me. And I feel like this is a perfect place for me to grow even further and to take my game and to next level and help the team as well.
Just a couple of thoughts from Alexander Isak. Newcastle United spoke volumes in their statement about him leaving, didn't they? What was it? Was it 27 words, 37 words, something like that? Not one thank you in there, which tells you absolutely everything. By contrast, Isaac Hayden left the club as well on the same day, and there was a sort of fulsome praise of Isaac Hayden. It's going to leave a bitter taste in the mouth. But you know what? Coisty, we'll talk about it later. In terms of the transfer window, Newcastle, for me, ended up doing pretty well.
I think so. Yeah, they get 2 centre forwards, absolutely. I mean, and we did say yesterday when we were talking about it, Jeff, we think they needed a couple, didn't they? Obviously, Callum Wilson, who scored at the weekend, going down to West Ham, as well as Isak leaving. Yeah, absolutely. I think they did okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Not everybody's happy with their transfer window. It's not all about the Premier League, by the way. Is it, for instance, down in... I've just lost it now, and let's see if I can get this back. I don't think I can. At the moment, Blackburn Rovers, I know they're pretty unhappy about... there we go, Dan the Blackburn fan. I want to mention the Blackburn board need to look at Crystal Palace. Not let your best centre-half leave. We're not having a replacement. We let Mr. Consistent Dominic Hyam, played every single minute last season, leave with an hour left in the window, leaving us with 3 centre-backs, one of whom is suspended, one of whom has serious injury problems, and another who's just come back from a year out of football, so not great there. And Trev, look, I'm guessing Trev, you're a Plymouth fan, aren't you? I would imagine. He's just said, I would have been happy if we signed a new pasty from Ginsters. Awful window. Down we go again. Love to hear.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, we'd love to hear about your club, whether you think they've done good business, bad business, whether you'd have been happy if they'd signed a Ginsters pasty as well, as Trev would have been there. Do let us know during the course of the day. 81089 on the text 03717 223344. Deadline bringing a whole heap of drama. We want to hear from you. Was player power the big winner? I think it probably was, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, yeah.
Chelsea, Arsenal, City fans... what did you make of your window? What did you make of Liverpool's window as well, your big rivals? Does it mean that the title is heading for Merseyside once again? 03717 223344. Give us a call this morning.
Of a man. Scaramouche, Scaramouche, will you do the fandango? Thunderbolt and lightning, very, very frightening me. Galileo, Galileo, Galileo Figaro. Magnifico! I'm just a poor boy, nobody loves me. He's just a poor boy from a poor family, sparing his life from this monstrosity.
Good morning. This is talkSPORT Breakfast 6:19. I'm Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist was in Glasgow. You don't need me to tell you what that was. Bit of Bohemian Rhapsody in the morning.
Brilliant.
Yeah, fantastic. What a band they were.
Brilliant, mate.
Yeah, just one of the all-time greats. But listen to this. I'm not sure whether this is going to be an all-time great. There's a story in The Sun this morning for you. Queen are to launch their own wine range. Celebrity tipples are apparently getting more and more popular, and now Queen are getting in on the act. It's not their first venture into the booze market. Freddie Mercury, back in 2014, launched his own vodka, apparently.
How does that work, Jeff? Is that the rest of the boys in the band, do you think?
Yeah, it must be. It must be. Well, you know, what about Shay McCoist, you know? Could you launch a nice red coister, you know?
Oh, I don't know about launch it.
You must grow it on the hillsides in Glasgow, don't you? Grow those grapes?
I'm not sure we've got the perfect climate for it, by the way, Jeff. Well, here's a question for you. I tell you what, I did have it at the weekend. I had a nice glass of English wine, which is something that I don't drink an awful lot of, mate. Have you tried some of it?
Yeah, I tried English sparkling wine. Yeah, my only... You're
That's
right.
what it was, actually. It was sparkling.
Yeah, you know, a lot of it, where I live down in Hampshire, there's quite a lot of it, you know. I was going to say made there. Is that right? Is that the right terminology for wine? Probably not.
Make wine, would you?
But I will tell you, it's expensive. I mean, it is really expensive, you know, so...
Why would that be more expensive than wine coming in from, say, France or Italy?
Because there's a lot more of it in France and Italy, I would guess. So, sort of, you know, rarity value.
Or is there also a tax issue as well? Because, bizarrely, whatever way you look at it, you'll pay more for a bottle of whiskey in Scotland than you would probably in wherever else you go. And a lot of it's tax. So I'm just wondering if that's the same issue with the wine, Jeff.
Yeah. Not sport, not aeroplanes and wine, but look, a lot of people think they've had good Watford. Somebody's texted and said Watford have had an absolutely great transfer window, and one or two other clubs as well. Huddersfield, we had a text from a Huddersfield fan, Craig, who says we had a fantastic transfer window. Up the Terriers, and I've had another, obviously Sheffield Wednesday fan that said the only thing more depressing than your wife leaving you is transfer deadline day at Wednesday. Yeah, I feel your pain. I do feel your pain. Look, let's take a look at today's back pages now with Tesco Mobile for Business.
The Back Page Review on talkSPORT with Tesco Mobile for Business. Got a side hustle selling clothes? Save in style with business phone bills for up to 40% less than the big three networks. For verification, see tescomobile.com/business.
And Olivia is back with us. I'm just looking for a text, actually, because you can look at the back pages.
Yes.
And just before you do, I can't find it now. You know, but basically, a lot of people are texting and saying, you know, would rather hear Coisty's airport story again than talk about Alexander Isak. But I suspect we're going to, aren't we?
Yes, and we are because that is dominating the back page. Find that funny, did you, Ali?
I did. I enjoyed that one, Olivia. I enjoyed. It doesn't happen very often with Jeff, but I did enjoy that one.
Yeah. But just before you start, by the way, I got to say, you know, we were talking about Freddie Mercury and his vodka in 2014. Well, of course, he passed away in 1991. So I'm not sure how that worked. but maybe his estate or something like that. Thank you for John pointing that out to me.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Anyway.
So sadly, we now actually have to talk about Alexander Isak, but maybe more just not about Isak, but maybe more as, like you mentioned it, Jeff, player power as a whole. Like, Ali, do you think we're setting a dangerous precedent now? Because you look at the two players that have arguably acted the worst in this window, and the two of them have got their big moves to the clubs they wanted to go to, whilst Mark Gahey's now sat there. Nothing to do with, Palace. This isn't Palace's fault at all. I think it's Liverpool's fault. But we are looking at it like the two players, they've refused to play and they've got their big moves.
Well, absolutely, as it answers your question, but there's nothing we can do about it. But the players in layman's terms, kind of throwing the toys out the pram and decided they want to move, and because of finances, effectively, Olivia, Jeff, they've got their wish, because clubs can't afford the depreciation of the player by not allowing them to move and keep them an unhappy player at the club. And this is effectively what's happened. There'll be a lot of players, a lot of fans would rather have said, right, stick them in the reserves for 6 months. But in an ideal world, you could maybe do that. But that ain't happening. Not because of the finances involved and the cost to the clubs in terms of transfer money. But as a good sign, no. As a good message to send out from both players, absolutely not, Olivia.
But just, Jeff, it almost puts the clubs in a really awkward position where they basically then don't have any control over what happens. They basically go, well, we're a business, we need that money, and so we have to sell regardless of how the player acts.
Yeah, I get that completely, but Palace have shown that's not the case. Now, it was a unique situation, I think, because they've got a manager there, Oliver Glasner, who's right at the top of his powers at the moment, and reports are that he basically said, look, if we don't keep Mark Gahey, we're off. So that for whatever reason they've kept Gahey. It's cost Palace £35 million. That's £1 million per Premier League game. But what it did do is show what Glasner demanded. He said, this will show which direction we're heading in. In other words, are we still a selling club, or are we more ambitious? And he and Steve Parish, they've shown they are more ambitious. They've kept Gahey for another season, whatever the cost. So they've bucked the trend, which is great to see from the club's perspective, not from Mark Gahey's perspective. Yeah. Because goodness knows what will happen to him over the next few months.
Liverpool's
fault?
fault?
I don't think it's Liverpool's fault.
If
Liverpool have come in with a bid.
Would they not have come in earlier?
Well, couldn't Palace have signed a central defender earlier to allow Gahey to leave? So, I think it's just circumstances. That's all. You can argue that Liverpool could have come in with more money, but that's what they saw, the market value of Mark Gahey. I think it's a massive blow for Liverpool, by the way. Yeah. I thought they had a wonderful transfer window until that deal fell through. And now, I don't know what you think, Coisty, but they've left themselves potentially very short.
Anything happens to Virgil, if obviously you don't wish injury on anyone and you hope everyone can stay fit, but they are one Virgil van Dijk injury away from being a real mess at the back, Liverpool.
Well, we said that yesterday, guys, didn't we? We actually said in conversation that we thought that the Gahey move to Liverpool could have been more important to them than the Isak one. And I think you make a really interesting point, Jeff, which I agree with as well. I think you're leaning down the line of, if Palace hadn't won the FA Cup, had they not qualified for Europe, had they hovered about 7th or 8th from the bottom, then the deal would probably have been done. But it hasn't been done due to the position of the manager and the position of the club due to the manager. That's one of the reasons that deal hasn't been done, I think, and I think you're right to point that out.
We're almost out of time. I've got to read this one out, though, Olivia. It says, good morning, gentlemen. It includes you, Olivia, I'm sure, as well. Firstly, absolutely fantastic to listen to Judith Chalmers for what felt like an hour earlier on. Thanks, Sally. This is from Paul, the Palace fan, who says, Paul says, up the British Airways. He said, it's a controversial opinion, but I have to wonder how much Liverpool wanted to get the Gahey deal over the line. I'm pretty sure they did, Paul, but, you know, maybe they didn't want to pay as much as you might have anticipated because he's calling Gay a £60 million defender. Olivia, thank you very much indeed. That was a look at today's back pages with Tesco Mobile for Business. Coming up, with over £3 billion spent in the Premier League this window, we asked the question, how has Scottish football fallen so far behind? That's next.
The Back Page Review on talkSPORT with Tesco Mobile for Business. Got a side hustle selling clothes? Save in style with business phone bills for up to 40% less than the big three networks. For verification, see tescomobile.com/business.
Shin pads are a footballer's best friend. Even if players like Jack Grealish do wear such small ones you can barely even see them. But what's the story with shin pads, and are there actually any rules on how big they should be? It all started with cricket, actually. Cricketers had been wearing shin pads since the 1700s. It was thanks to this guy that shin protection made its way over to football. Meet Samuel Widdowson. He was a cricketer and a footballer. He played for Nottingham Forest back in the late 1800s, and he wanted a way to protect his legs from nasty tackles. Naturally, his mind drifted to his other favourite sport, where players had been wearing these pads for a century. Story goes, Widdowson cut up his cricket pads and popped them on before taking to the footy pitch. His Nottingham Forest team then began wearing them from 1887, and the first known use of them in a match was in 1894, in a match between Newcastle and the then Woolwich Arsenal. Eventually, FIFA clocked on that this kind of protection was pretty important for footballers. And so, in 1990, basically 100 years after Widdowson first put them on, shin pads were made compulsory. It became part of Law 4 of IFAB. That's the body responsible for setting the laws of the game internationally. But the law doesn't actually specify anything about measurements of shin pads. It just says they must be made of a suitable material and be of an appropriate size to provide reasonable protection. It's really vague, even though there have been calls for it to be changed. But for now, that's why Grealish and co can still get away with these ones, which are no bigger than a credit card and which seem to offer little to no protection whatsoever.
Good morning, 6:34, Tuesday, September the 2nd. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist and Arnold Clark. Get the UK's best used car deals guaranteed. Now, with over £3 billion spent in the Premier League, we ask the question, how has Scottish football fallen so far behind the game in England, and can those problems be fixed? The problems off the field have also seemingly impacted on the field. Goalless draw course in Sunday's Old Firm. It was a shocker of a game. I think everybody would concur with that. And that, of course, followed both sides crashing out of the Champions League before it even got to the group stages. So really worrying times as far as football in Scotland is concerned. We're only talking there, of course, about the big two, but this is reflective of the whole of Scottish football, really, isn't it? I mean, Coisty, we might have had this discussion before, but is this Scottish football's lowest point, do you think?
I'm not sure it's the lowest point, Jeff, but it's a low point. The first thing you've got to say, there's very, very little money knocking about, particularly outside the Old Firm, Rangers and Celtic, who have spent some money in this transfer window. But when Rangers and Celtic are now at the stage where the money that they spend, they have to get a lot more right than they get wrong. Jeff, I mean, for example, I've been moaning with, I think, a lot of justification about the recruitment at my club, Rangers, hasn't been good enough. To give you an example, I think we just completed a deal for a lad called Oscar Cortez in July for $4.5 million, and I think we've just put him out in season loan, which is absolutely an utter madness for a club of any stature, really, unless you're obviously an elite club in England that can afford to do that.
Just to jump in, Coisty, I mean, in the latest transfer window, you've just signed Yusuf Chamiti from Everton for £8 million. By the way, £8 million is the most Rangers have paid for a player in 25 years. Well, since Tore Andre Flo. But Chamiti couldn't get a look in at Everton.
I know, mate. But that's where we're shopping right now. So straight away now, there's nobody hopes more than anyone, Jeff, that Yusuf Chamiti goes on and scores a barrel load of goals for Rangers. Nobody hopes more than me that happens, right? But there would have to be a massive question mark about it, because he hasn't done it anywhere he's been. So why would you take a gamble like that? Why would you not potentially spend your $8 million, go and get the lad Sima, who you know has been at the club, done very, very well at the club, has just moved in the window there for, I think, $4 million, and Cherny, who I think was a success at Rangers on loan last year, he's just moved for over $4 million. So why would you not take in my opinion, a more calculated risk by getting two players you know can do the business for you?
Yeah.
Now, I'll qualify it again by saying the lad might go on and score all sorts of goals, and we all hope he does. But it's a heck of a gamble, Jeff. It's a heck of a gamble.
And they're not on their own, of course, because if you looked at Celtic, I mean,
I know
they haven't brought any strikers in. They tried, but David Fofana, who's at Chelsea, he chose to go on Charlton on loan rather than go to Celtic. Is this all about the perception of Scottish football, Coisty, or is it more to do about the amount players are being paid?
There's an element of, it's got to be an element of both, right? However, you are not going to sit there and tell me that Charlton Athletic are paying more money in wages than Celtic. That just cannot be happening, right? That would stagger me. That would absolutely stagger me. But getting back to your point and use of the word perception, I think it is. I don't think Scottish football is, we asked me earlier, and the first question was, is it an all-time low? I don't think it is. However, the perception of it is probably as low as I can remember it, Jeff, in a long, long time. Now, that was one of the worst Old Firm games we've seen in a long time, and the standard is not great. However, Jeff, Celtic did fine in Europe last year and had some really good performances. So we can't forget that was less than 12 months ago. Rangers, European performances, one away in Nice, got a draw in Greece, one in Malmo, one in Turkey. Some excellent results, Jeff, right? Excellent. And 3 or 4 years earlier, we're in a European final led by a man that probably still should be managing the club.
Yeah. Europa League final 2022.
Correct. And he's now get rid of him, and he's now sitting on the bench at Liverpool right next to Arne Slot. So that, again, to me, is a really, really poor decision. So it's poor decision making, a lack of finance, being able to compete. There's a number of things, Jeff, but it is very, very low. And I think what shocked a lot of people, and myself included, was the level of performance from, maybe with the exception of Hibs a little bit. I mean, Hibs had a couple of good results and can probably consider himself a little bit unlucky. But once again, the level of performance, I include Aberdeen in this as well, but particularly the big two in Europe this year, the level of performance from the two of them, Jeff, has been as poor as I've seen in a long, long time. Celtic not scored 210 minutes against that team from Kazakhstan, and Rangers, quite frankly, you know, a good result against Panathinaikos and Victoria Pilsen, but an embarrassment 2 legs against Bruges.
Kosi, I want to bring Hibs and Hearts into the discussion in a moment.
Of course.
But first of all, let's hear from Rod Stewart, who joined the show on Friday and revealed he actually feels sorry for you, Ali. Listen to this.
It's just been the worst week I can remember. It's just awful. You know, I must admit I do feel sorry for McCoist and Rangers and all of them. I mean, I want to beat them, obviously, but the big picture is Scottish football, you know, and it's taken an embarrassing turn. Nothing to be proud of.
I mean, there's Rod saying nothing to be proud of at the moment. But is there light at the end of the tunnel? Because we talk about, you know, the fact that American investors seem to find Scottish football attractive at the moment. Yeah. Tony Bloom is investing in Hearts.
Yep.
Could there be a change in Scottish football's fortunes in the very near future?
Well, we'll find out. International week starts as well, Jeff. That's the most important thing. We're starting our World Cup trail. I think we're in Denmark. Is it next week? We're in Denmark, and that is absolutely massive. Absolutely massive for us. And clearly, we want to be involved in the big tournaments over in USA, Canada, Mexico. That goes without saying, Jeff. And the next month, 2 months, because there are a lot of fixtures played, will be key. We will have a rough idea of our status and opportunity to get to the World Cup. I would think certainly the next 8 weeks, 10, 12 weeks. And it's so important, Jeff. But Sir Rod, once again, and by the way, I think Sir Rod is different class, because there's nobody of his profile promotes Scottish football more than him, Jeff. Loves his team, fair play to him. It's not my team, but absolutely loves his team. Travels all over the place to go and see them. Brilliant. Loves the national side. You saw how, you know, patriotic he is about the Scottish national side. So I think he certainly deserves listening to, and he's right. He could tell he was shocked by the level of performance that he saw in midweek from the Europe and from the Scottish sides and European football competition. Is there a little bit of light? I would say Hearts have got a chance. I think they've got an excellent manager. Make no apology for saying it again. I know he's my mate, but I think Derek McInnes is an excellent manager, knows his way around Scottish football as well as anybody. It's a really interesting ownership concept with Tony Bloom, as you know, which has been nothing other than successful down south.
I think Hibs have got a little money to spend as well now.
They have, and I'm so pleased they've stuck with David Gray as well, because he there was a time, I think it was last season, when he was under a little bit of pressure, but boy, did he turn that corner, and some of their results have been excellent. You know, but it's been overdue with the Edinburgh clubs, by the way, and Aberdeen for that matter. It's been long, long overdue. So hopefully the tide is turning, because domestically as well, Jeff, the reason that a lot of people were saying, Sir Rod included, that if Celtic won that game at the weekend, the league was over. Now, a lot of people understandably look at say, well, that's terrible from Rangers' point of view, and it is terrible from Rangers' point of view. But the reason they're saying it is because they don't think anybody else will take points off them. Which is just as bad.
Obviously, you can't just buy your way out of this situation. You know, I mean, Scottish football as a whole, Coisty. So what's happened to youth development in Scotland? Where are all the brilliant Scottish kids who used to come through?
We've not got a player that can beat anybody. We don't have a player. You think of the great wingers we had, like Jimmy Johnson, Willie Henderson, Willie Johnson. We always had somebody, Davy Cooper, we always had somebody on the wing with a bit of talent that could go and beat somebody, and the Scottish fans would rave about them. We don't have anybody like that. I'm looking at my own team, Rangers. There's no Scottish players in it. Really. There's maybe one or two. John Shooter, the centre-back, a young kid we brought in for Dundee. But apart from that, we're filled with average non-Scots. Average non-Scots, Jeff. Now, if there were Laudrup and Larson was coming and DiCanio was coming and George Alberts was coming, absolutely, but you understand that, and you get a sprinkle of Scots round about them, that's fine, and you can accept that. But we do not have any Scots boys, and that is as concerning as it, for me as anything else, Jeff.
Listen to this, Coisty, from Simon. He says, as a Spurs fan, I recently bumped into Richard Gough, who had a fantastic season at Spurs before making a shock move to Rangers. I asked him why he left that great team to move, and he said he left to double his wages at Rangers. That just could not happen now. And that's an indication, really, of the lack of finances in the Scottish game now.
Yeah, a wee while, so we've got another Richard Gough in our team, by the way. But well, that's what I'm saying. Well, you've hit it on the head there, Jeff. The two captains I played with Rangers, Terry Butcher and Richard Gough. My God, I mean, I've got the England captain, the Scotland captain. That's who I'm playing with. I mean, we say, I know times stand still for no man and times are changing, but at the same time, we've got to get some Scots back in the team because, and I'll repeat it, Jeff. It's not as if we're filling them with international stars. We're filling the side. We've just signed the boy Cortez for $4.5 million and put him out on loan. What's that all about?
Look, worrying times for Scottish football. Big thanks to Ally McCoist as always. You'll hear more on this tomorrow morning from 6 a.m. with Alan Brazil. And, of course, Jim White and Simon Jordan follow us from 10 a.m. after a very busy transfer window. But for now, still to come on breakfast.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. Download the new improved app to easily manage your accounts and quotes.
Arsenal fans, City fans, Chelsea fans, now that Liverpool have got their man in Alexander Isak, how worried are you about the champions going back-to-back? Has the title gone already? Well, obviously, it hasn't, because a lot of clubs have done great business in the window as well. But how concerned are you about Liverpool's business this transfer window? 03717 223344 is the number you need. Get in touch, let us know. That was our look ahead with Travis Perkins.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. Get free next day track delivery. Head to travisperkins.co.uk or download the app.
morning. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with Arnold Park. Get £750 off any used car or home charger. I'm Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist is with me, and guess what? Olivia Buzaglow's back with us. And Olivia, you've chosen to talk about Chelsea again.
I'm being stitched up here. I'm being stitched up. Ollie, I don't get to choose what I talk about. It's just so happened that every time I've been on here, there has been something Chelsea related. I actually get slated. People are like, oh, well, you want to do talk about Chelsea. So Ollie's stitching me up. But yes, we are talking about Chelsea again. But this time, we're talking about the bomb squad. Axel Disasi, I don't know if anyone saw, put a picture up of a few of them just in like like a dressing room. Yeah. Now, Raheem Sterling is probably the biggest name of all that, is still in the Chelsea bomb squad because he didn't get a move on transfer deadline day. I don't really know what needs to happen here for Raheem Sterling to actually play football, because he's already said he doesn't want to go to Saudi. Yeah. He's not going to go to Saudi. I know he was linked with Fulham and West Ham, but they were just links. There was nothing really concrete in them. So what happens to Raheem Sterling? What does he do now, Ali? I don't know where he goes from here.
Well, the answer to the question is I don't know either, because, and I'm on the outside, same as we all are looking in, I would imagine he would have had offers to go and play places that didn't suit him for whatever reason. Whether it was he wasn't prepared to take a drop in finances, or the club's football didn't suit him, or wherever the club was didn't suit him. But I'm only guessing now, Olivia. But the fact of the matter is, it doesn't look like he's going to be playing much football for the next 6 months, does it? Really, let's be honest about it, which is a crying shame. Because we can all moan about footballers and the way they behave sometimes, but you can guarantee the vast majority, if they all or all of them, want to play football because that's what they get paid to do. So he's now got a problem, hasn't he? Because
it's massive. I mean, and you're right when he says he doesn't want to go to Saudi, and he doesn't want to go to Turkey, and he doesn't want to go to the States.
But surely you have to compromise. Like, he knows the situation at Chelsea. He knows that now he's not going to be playing any football unless he makes a decision on where to go. And it might be, but should he be maybe compromising on wages? Should he be maybe compromising on the place he wants to go?
But maybe he just doesn't think that the lifestyle in Saudi in particular, or Turkey, would suit him. Yeah. And so I respect that decision. If that's the reason, he doesn't want to go and live there, so why should he go and live there? The sad part for me, Coisty, is this is Raheem Sterling. Correct. I mean, one of the brightest talents of English football for many a year.
Yep. I agree with you. And when he got the initial move to Chelsea, I thought he started playing exceptionally well, really, really well. And I was talking, I'm getting back in the England squad, and I thought deservedly so. But obviously form's dipped as well. The loan move didn't suit him either. But then, flip side of the coin, Olivia, Jeff, if we're moaning about, and we were moaning about it, me in particular, about Visa and Isak, the way they've handled things down in tools, we can like it or not, but Raheem Sterling has got a contract that has to be honoured. So the fact of the matter is, he's well entitled to do what he's doing, right? We might mump and moan about it and say it's not the right thing to do, because that is our opinion from the outside looking in. I am of that opinion too, because I think if he can, I think he should bite the bullet in terms of finance and whatever it may be. But I'm not privy to all the figures, facts and figures. I'm just probably saying what I think if I was in that situation, Olivia, would do. I would certainly take a financial sacrifice or whatever to go and play football at that stage in his life. But we're not privy to all the facts and figures, sadly.
So, Olivia, you come into the studio and you want to talk Chelsea. So we've got to ask some questions of you,
gosh.
Why didn't they sign a goalkeeper in the transfer window?
Because we've got about 8.
Yeah, but none of them are any good.
Half of them are at Strasbourg, our sister club.
Yeah, but with the best will in the world. Robert Sanchez, is he good enough? If you're going to win the Premier League, if you're going to be Champions League, Robert Sanchez is a decent keeper, but is he of that level?
He has. So the Club World Cup and the first couple of games, I've been pleasantly surprised with Robert Sanchez. I do believe you need a world-class goalkeeper.
Well,
to
he
win
shouldn't
the
have been
league.
pleasantly surprised because
Yeah, but
had the free kick against Palace stood, it would have gone down as a Sanchez mistake. Virtually went through his hands.
Yeah, but it didn't. No, I know. And there has been a lot of question marks over the goalkeeper, and that's why we're still. And it's going to take one mistake from him again for us to this conversation to keep coming up. And Enzo Maresca he keeps coming out and backing it. And for whatever reason, they believe that Robert Sanchez is good enough to be Chelsea's goalkeeper. That's why I couldn't believe that they weren't going in for Gianluigi Donnarumma when he became available, because I think there's just levels, and I think that when it's clear to see when you look at the goalkeepers. Just one thing I want to touch on, but just before I go, is the whole Chelsea loaning and selling players to Strasbourg, because it's an interesting one. Ali, I'm keen to get your thoughts on whether you think this is acceptable, are Chelsea bending the rules? Obviously, Ben Chilwell has gone there on a two-year deal. He's not the only player. They've got about 4 players there on loan as well. The Premier League do have to, any bit of business between the two clubs, the Premier League have to look at and assess and decide if it can go through. But is it acceptable? Couldn't get Ben Chilwell out anywhere, so they give him to Strasbourg.
Of course it's acceptable. And the reason it's acceptable is because it's legal, right? That's why it's acceptable. The minute they step over the line, or anybody steps over the line and breaks the rules and regulations, then it's unacceptable.
Yeah.
Now, again, we can argue about the rights and wrongs of it, whatever we think, but the fact of the matter is, they are not doing anything wrong. So, in my opinion, we spoke about it before, selling the girls' teams and things like that. Clubs will always look, and they'll pay lawyers thousands and thousands of pounds to go through everything to find out any way they can bend the rules, but apply the rules at the same time.
We're just good, aren't we?
Should have signed a defender and a goalkeeper rather than 18 different wingers. Olivia, thank you very much indeed. Coisty, M6 Matt has texted. He says, coming nowhere soon. Travelogues with Ally McCoist.
What was his name?
M6 Matt. Brilliant.
I love it.
Olivia, thank you very much. Thanks. Coming up, we turn our attention back to that incredibly busy deadline day. We'll discuss which teams might have finished the window by panic buying. Yeah, we're looking at you, Villa.
Premier League, the EFL or the government, which will make sure all clubs are financially stable and don't rip off the fans. The aim is to make sure what happened to Bury, Derby and Reading doesn't happen again. Now, a significant reason clubs go under is because of dodgy owners financially mismanaging the club and running it into the ground. But in theory, these should be a thing of the past with the new regulator. They'll be able to use data from the National Crime Agency to perform stronger fit and proper persons tests and can even force owners to give up their stake in a club, which for certain supporters might be a welcome relief. It's likely good news for the EFL. The tension between them and the Premier League over a fair financial deal has been increasing in recent years. As it stands, talks have broken down. The Premier League backed out of recent negotiations, but the regulator will have the power to force through a deal, meaning more money for clubs lower down the pyramid. Now, this might sound simple, but in reality there's concerns this will open a legal can of worms, which could result in messy court cases involving the Premier League and the regulator. Parachute payments will be brought under the control of the regulator too. If they reduce them, it could mean a wider variety of clubs securing promotion to the top flight, but critics reckon it'll just mean the gap between the Premier League and EFL actually widens, as promoted clubs won't get as much money, which should normally be used to buy better players so they can compete. And current Premier League clubs have said if there were no parachute payments, they'd actually invest less, which would harm the quality of the top flight. And if clubs don't invest, then you'll get exactly what the EFL don't want, which is the same 3 clubs going down every year. And remember when Cardiff's owners changed the club's colours and badge? Well, in future, fans will have to approve any major changes to their club's heritage. Now, that might all sound great, but do we really need it? Some say the downfall of Reading and Bury is an exception, not the rule. So as a whole, the most successful footballing pyramid in world football doesn't need regulation. They say it scares investors who can help grow the game. If those investors go elsewhere, well, the Premier League may no longer be the destination for the best players in the world. And others, well, they just don't trust politicians to appoint truly independent people to regulate our game.
Good morning, 7:05, Tuesday, September the 2nd. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling, Ally McCoist and Donald Clark. Get the UK's best used car deals guaranteed. On the way for you this morning, we'll continue the fallout from deadline day. Former Liverpool and Palace boss, England boss, of course, as well, Roy Hodgson will be along with us. He'll have plenty of thoughts on player power, I would imagine, dominating the window. Gabby will be with us. He's come out of hiding after Villa signed a couple of players late on. Emi Martinez, of course, staying at Villa Park. And 4-time major winner Dame Laura Davis will give us her reaction to Luke Donald pretty much selecting the same European side that were victorious in Rome just a couple of years ago. We were talking about Raheem Sterling a little while ago, by the way. Got a text in here saying, what about Sterling to Rangers? What a move that would be for both. Well, it's going to have to wait until the next transfer window, isn't it? Come what may. Look, let's kick off now, though, with Jim White's favourite day of the year. Yesterday's deadline day, one to remember.
Transfer deadline day with me, Jim White, and we are live on talkSPORT.
Oh, give it away to Isak. There's is his goal! Alexander Isak!
Newcastle United reached total agreement with Liverpool to sell Alexander Isak. The deal for the 25-year-old striker is worth $130 million.
And another attacker, along with Nick Voltemada, is about to come in. Yoann Wissa from Brentford will join. He's in Newcastle.
I mean, one stinker goes out, one stinker comes in. Well done, Newcastle. You've got one coming in doing the same thing to Brentford that you were complaining about.
The young goalkeeper from Royal Antwerp, we're hearing, is travelling to Manchester, and it would appear that this is on €21 million, no sell-on, 5-year contract.
Some breaking news. It's our understanding that Liverpool and Crystal Palace have agreed a fee for Mark Guéhi.
This could be the best transfer window a club's ever had.
Good drop to Guéhi. Guéhi with a curler! What a moment!
Does he stay or does he go now? That's the burning question that we've been asking for the past couple of hours. That move to Liverpool is off.
I think Guéhi would be devastated. There is a chance that this opportunity might not come for him again. But it just shows you that sometimes being professional, doing things the right way, doesn't get you what you want.
Oliver Glasner, the Crystal Palace manager, has played a direct role in this deal not going through because he threatened to walk away from Palace if his captain was sold without a replacement coming in.
Transfer deadline day. Expect the unexpected.
And Ben Jacobs is back with us. Morning, Ben. You a bit better?
Good morning, Ben.
Good morning. About 3 hours.
Yeah, I can see the eyes are looking a bit red at the moment, mate. But anyway, look, it's all, well, it is over. But just looking at the aftermath, that'll soon be over. You can go and have a really good rest. I was interested there, Alex Crook, talking about the role of Oliver Glasner in keeping Mark Guéhi there, maybe threatening to walk away from the club. Obviously, the Bayer Leverkusen job is open at the moment for a start. But is there any truth in that? Do you think that happened?
I think Glasner's got a lot of leverage, and there's a bit of rewriting because what happened was Igor didn't move to Crystal Palace, so he ended up being the key pawn in deadline day. Palace didn't have a second defensive reinforcement, and then Crystal Palace internally held a series of meetings. So there was Steve Parish, Oliver Glasner, but then Glasner and Mark Guéhi. And I think there's two factors here. One is Glasner repeating privately his public comments that if a second defender doesn't come in, Guéhi's more important to Palace this season than to be sold. And in the end, I think that conversation was professional, but there was some tension naturally and time was running out. And that's where Glasner may have had a little bit of leverage as the manager of the football club. But a second conversation, which I think is interesting, and we heard it in the package as well, between Glasner and Guéhi, and we definitely saw a split this window, 4 players in particular, Alexander Isak and Yoann Wissa, pushing for their moves, Johan Strand-Larsen and Mark Guéhi not playing, both scoring, and then in the aftermath staying at their football clubs. And I think the second conversation between Glasner and Guéhi made it really clear that the Crystal Palace captain, being professional, was just prepared to stay, and then everything calmed down.
Yeah.
It's amazing, Ben. I'm going to ask you, mate. Now, I think it's quite interesting. Do you think, clearly, Glasner would have put his club under pressure because he wouldn't want to have lost Guéhi. Now, do you think he was happy, or sorry, not happy, but do you think he would have been reasonably more content with the move had he got somebody in, or do you think it was just the fact that he was losing one of his top players?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. Basically, Oliver Glasner's not changed his position. He was unhappy with Mark Guéhi leaving come what may, but you have to sort of weigh up what the manager thinks and what the bank balance will reflect. And I think Glasner, in the end, was relatively aligned heading into deadline day, even though he was against the actual exit of Mark Guéhi. Steve Parish made the final decision. So the deal basically was, if 2 defensive reinforcements come in, then Mark Guéhi can go to Liverpool because he wants the move. Then it was Igor specifically, a strange character to end up talking about on deadline day. Loan move to Crystal Palace. He did the medical. Then it was West Ham. Then he went nowhere. And as a result, they came back to that original agreement at the beginning of the day. If 2 come in, Guéhi can leave. Glasner didn't like it, but he accepted it. So only 1 came in, and then they had to have meetings again. And I think that Steve Parish probably changed his opinion and backed his manager.
Going to be interesting to see how the relationship between Oliver Glasner and Mark Guéhi pans out, isn't it, in the coming months? You know, with Guéhi clearly wanting to leave and seemingly, you know, Glasner being the driving force behind him staying. Look, let's move on a little bit. I just want to touch on Aston Villa for a moment or two. Will Emi Martinez be back between the sticks for them?
Yeah, it's
in the
looking
next
that
game?
way. I mean, there's still some windows open, and Martinez has made it clear to Villa that he wanted to leave. He's wanted Manchester United all summer. They went for Sané Lamens. I think that you have to move on and you have to put a window behind you, and people forget about windows when they stay at clubs relatively quickly. So let's sort of see the next selection. But Aston Villa didn't add a goalkeeper, so I think it would be unlikely now that Emi Martinez departs. And then at the other end, two very interesting deadline day signings, Harvey Elliott, Jadon Sancho. They're both loan formulas. And as a consequence, I think it's clear that even though Villa are fine for the last financial year with PSR, they've still got a bit of work and balancing to do. So next summer, let's sort of see the Martinez, the Ollie Watkins, the Onana, the Tielemans situations, because I think from Villa's point of view, they've done these deals as loans simply because that was the preferable formula given how their books are at the moment.
Yeah.
Have they strengthened? I mean, they brought... But what I'm looking at, Ben, and Jeff and I were talking about it yesterday, I would be slightly concerned. I know Villa are absolutely doing the right thing in terms of looking after the welfare and finances of the football club. That said, I don't think anybody can argue with the start they've had and the way things are shaping up. I think it's got to be very concerning, mate.
Yeah, I think you're right. And obviously from the perspective of Harvey Elliott, there's an obligation to buy, so he's a Villa player. But the other factor in all of this is just team chemistry and continuity, because if you look back a little bit further, Sensio comes in, he goes, Marcus Rashford comes in, it's very positive, he goes, Jadon Sancho is alone as well. So just when you think you're moving in the right direction, it becomes sort of contingent on, can you get Champions League football? Because then maybe you're going to be able to buy these players. Marco Asensio didn't want to go back to Villa, I was told, because he wanted Champions League football. Marcus Rashford was holding out for Barcelona because the loan was a stopgap. So it's not so much just about their financial position. I think Unai Emery will be thinking about squad chemistry, and if you overloan and your team is too temporary, then over time you lose that chemistry.
Ben, thank you very much indeed. Go and get some shut-eye.
We'll do straight to bed.
Another Ben, by the way, is texted. As a Villa fan, I'm happy, but I'm baffled how Man United didn't choose Martinez. Surely that would have solved their issues. No idea who's making their calls, but they are a laughingstock. More reaction to deadline day. You won't want to miss talkSPORT's daily podcast, where Danny Murphy tells us just what Gay should have done if he wanted to force through the move to Liverpool. But up next, we'll discuss 3 former Manchester United managers who've been sacked in 5 days. And ask the question, could we see Jose Mourinho back in the Premier League before Christmas? That's next. morning, 19 minutes past 7, I beg your pardon. Tuesday, September the 2nd. This is talkSPORT Breakfast. I'm Jeff Stelling. Ally McCoist is with me. Our biggest competition to date has launched, and we're giving you the chance to win Oasis tickets plus 25 grand. 2 lucky winners this time, not 1 but 2, and they'll win a pair of Oasis tickets when they return to Wembley on the 27th of September. And remember, alongside those tickets, a whopping 25 grand. For all the details on how to enter this amazing competition, listen up right now.
18 plus, UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win, text the word Oasis to 83338 and you're in the draw. Text costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission. Or you can enter for free by calling 0330 880 3338. All entries must be received by the 19th of September at 9 a.m. This is a talkSPORT limited promotion run on talkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com.
And the very best of luck in that competition. Now, Olivia is back with us. You know, Olivia, how on X, formerly Twitter, you can mute words?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're muting Chelsea.
Oh,
okay. You're not allowed to mention them.
Me? Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I think my...
Not in this lot. You're not
No.
allowed to mention them.
Honestly,
It's not a forever thing.
Is it not?
No.
Okay, good. This is my favourite subject. No, we're talking about United now because... their managers, or their ex-managers, are getting sacked left, right and centre. We'll get on to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Jose, my favourite manager ever, Jose. However, Erik ten Hag being sacked from Bayer Leverkusen after 2 Bundesliga games. He's come out and said he's sort of accused the club of not giving him the trust that he deserves. But, Ali, surely something has happened in those 2 games. They didn't even lose both games. They got 1 point from 2 Bundesliga games. I don't understand how it's even a thing, sacking someone after 2 games.
No, I've got to say, I think I'm on Ten Hag's side in this case, and that's me not being privy to watch Leverkusen. They've lost a few players. Obviously, they've had as successful a period as they've had in a long, long time under Alonso. 2 games is ridiculous. There must have been a fallout of some description. There has to have been a fallout with management, because even by remarkable standards and people not being given time, I would suggest 2 games is a little bit short, Jeff.
Well, you know, it's crazy. But the problem is that they overachieved massively, didn't they? With Xabi Alonso. So, in some respects, it was a rotten job to take. But obviously, he was keen to get back into management after the Manchester United
Where does he go now?
I don't know, maybe back to Holland, I would suspect, you know, and rebuild his reputation. Actually, I don't think this has damaged his reputation at all, because people are going to look at Leverkusen and say, well, this is ridiculous.
100 hours, literally, you just took the words out of my mouth. 100%. There's nothing. What could he have done really in a pre-season and 2 games? No. I don't think he could have done very much. It's going to be interesting to see what Leverkusen do next. Are they going to give their new manager 2 games to sort things out? What about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer then? Obviously, Besiktas sacked him. Fenerbahce sacked Jose Mourinho. Both of them got knocked out of their respective European competitions. That's probably why. Could we maybe see, obviously we don't know what's going to happen with Ruben Amorim. There's question marks over Nuno's future in the Premier League. Are we going to see Jose or Ole back in the Premier League at any point anytime soon?
I don't think there's any chance you'll see either at Manchester United.
No.
No matter what happens, I don't think.
Forest?
Potentially. Yeah, you wouldn't be ruling that out.
Well, here's one for you, Coisty. What about Rangers if that job became vacant?
Jose, Ali.
Well,
Jose loves Rangers. He's always actually spoken so highly about Scottish football. He says he loves it.
Listen, there's a man in the job just now, but if you're asking me further down the line, would I take Jose Ibrox? Absolutely, I would. Absolutely. There's a lot of people of the opinion that he's maybe by sell-by date. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. I would love to see him, back in Scottish football anyway. Cause I just think he's big news, Jeff, Olivia. I think he's great for the game. Yeah. I think we love him. He creates interest. He creates stories. He's different. And the more people like that, for me, the better.
Yeah, I think Russell Martin, obviously, there's still question marks, especially over that old firm. I know you guys were talking about it. And like Ali says, the one thing Jose brings, his character. Like we need him in football. We do. And I, for one, he's my favourite. He's my favourite manager.
As long as you don't want to see great, exciting, expansive attacking football.
Well, we don't see that anymore anyway.
Of course we do. We see loads.
Not in the big clubs, we don't.
No, we really.
Jeff, looking at that Liverpool-Arsenal game,
yeah, but
there was nothing exciting about that.
That was a one-off. If you look at Liverpool as an attacking unit, I mean, look at their other games.
That's more thingy
Look at Liverpool Bournemouth, for example. You know, look at the Newcastle Liverpool game. You know, they are a great attacking unit. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Jose, for me, look, you know, I mean, Jose has his good days and his bad days, but for me, I don't really want to see that style of football. I think it's too one-dimensional, you know. But it would be a coup. It would be a coup for certain clubs, and I could see him being back in the Premier League. I'll be honest, you know, when certain jobs come up, there's no question owners are going to look at the name Jose Mourinho. Not sure about Ollie.
Yeah, I am actually. Well, the fact we talk about Scottish football, I actually do think we could maybe see Jose. I feel like he's been in the Premier League so much. Also, I've just ripped my trousers. Oh God!
Oh no!
I'm ripping my trousers. I just noticed. Been walking around with my leg out. Great. Yeah, I love Jose. I still think you know. I agree with. Hey, Ali, you said you're not sure. I do think he's obviously. I do think he's maybe past the best Jose Mourinho that we've seen, and I think that's fair to say. However, I know obviously Brendan Rodgers and Russell Martin are still in their job, so obviously it's not really fair to maybe say about him going in there. But I could see him in Scotland. He speaks about the passion for the league, and he would be open to moving there. I know Rangers love him.
They do, yeah.
Rangers love him for beating Celtic in the UEFA Cup final back in 2003.
Coisty, we've talked about the financial issues. They couldn't afford
Jose.
They could not afford Jose.
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right. But I mean, if you're asking, would I like to see him in Scottish football? Of course I would, because we just spoke about it and said it's kind of down in the doldrums at this moment in time. So he would certainly bring a bit of life to it, wouldn't he?
He would. We love Jose.
No, don't use the we
sorry,
word.
I love Jose. Although I'm not sure I would want him back managing my club, but I think he'd be good. Be nice to maybe watch from afar.
Again, crazy decisions though. You know. Not knee-jerk at all, are they? You go to the Champions League and bang, two managers gone immediately. So if you go to manage in Turkey, you know what you're getting at.
Well, that's exactly the point I would make, guys. The Ten Hag dismissal really surprises me. The other two, because of the environment and location, doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
Yeah. Paul, who's a Villa fan, obviously we talk about ex-Manchester United managers, but he wants to mention Manchester United in a text, and I sympathise with him. Paul, the Villa fan, says, the ridiculous decision to disallow Morgan Rogers' goal against Manchester United has completely killed us. And you have to have some sympathy with that viewpoint, Coisty.
Yeah, of course I do. It's difficult to argue with, isn't it? Very difficult to argue with, mate.
Yeah. Absolutely. He goes on to say there should be a way of reviewing those situations. Well, it's impossible, isn't it? You know, it's gone. It's gone. You know, it was wrong, but it's gone.
Terrible. It was terrible. I was there. It was terrible.
Yeah. Olivia, thank you very much indeed. What are you going to do? Are you any good at sewing?
I don't know. No, I'm not. I'm 31 years old and I'm going to take them home to my mum to sew up.
Never reveal your age.
Everyone knows my
There
age.
might be somebody listening.
Do I look 31 though?
No, you don't.
Yeah, I'll take that.
You definitely don't. You know.
I am, sadly.
Okay. Olivia has us in stitches again. Don't forget, Olivia's back with us hosting early breakfast every Monday and Tuesday from 5 a.m. You'll soon look 31. Up next, we ask former footballer, now agent Brian Howard, whether player power will dominate every transfer window going forward.
When Sir Jim Ratcliffe took control of footballing operations at United, the Manchester-born billionaire was somewhat welcomed in as a homegrown hero, ready to save the club from the dark days of the Glazers. But in just 12 months, he became a punchbag for many fans. So what happened? Well, let's take a look and you can decide for yourself. Over the last 3 years, the club lost 300 million quid, and Ratcliffe rightfully committed to sorting that. But what seemed to get fans' backs up is the way he went about it. For example, talkSPORT understands staff lunch options at the Carrington canteen have been reduced to just soup and sandwiches, which the higher-ups at the club say will save them 1 million quid a year. Now, that might make sense for many who don't get free meals at work themselves, but it does get a little bit more picky than that. It was reported that after staff brought some stationery, they were ordered to send sellotape back because it wasn't considered to be essential. And the reward for being Steward of the Week used to be 50 quid, but that was scrapped and replaced by a paper certificate. But it's not just seemingly stingy decisions. In 2024 alone, Ratcliffe oversaw 250 redundancies, and more were announced at the beginning of 2025. Now, while there are people who acknowledge United's staff numbers are overinflated, it's the optics which aren't great. Add to the mix the introduction of a flat ticket price of 66 quid for every fan, even children, while Casemiro's on 350 grand a week, and the frustration of fans reached fever pitch. Time will tell whether Ratcliffe's cost-cutting measures will improve outcomes at the club, but one thing's for sure, there's a long way to go for United to be back where many say they belong.
A very good morning to you. This is talkSPORT Breakfast at 7:33 with me, Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist. And Arnold Clark gets 750 quid off any used electric car or home charger. Now, after Arsenal were beaten 1-0 by Liverpool on Sunday, White and Jordan were joined by the former Gunners double winner Manu Petit for his reaction. And he's not a fan of what he's seeing from Mikel Arteta at the moment.
Okay, you brought some players, important players, but I don't want to see, because Mikel is Spanish, I don't want him to go step by step even further, to the like of what Enrique has done, a few years ago with the national team, in Spain, or even Guardiola sometimes when he was trying to do with City, it was quite bored to watch. And I just want them, to don't forget that if you want to win games, you have to go and kill them.
You know what, Coisty, a lot of people are looking at that Arsenal performance at Liverpool and saying they're boring. And I said, well, we'll turn the clock back one game. Arsenal beat Leeds 5-0. Look at last season. Didn't they beat Man City 5-1? Didn't they beat Palace 5-1? Didn't they beat West Ham 5-2? I mean, this is not a boring side.
It's not, mate. It's not. And I was listening to Danny Murphy yesterday, and I agree with Danny. I think some of the level of criticism that Arteta and his Arsenal side have taken from the weekend is slightly over the top. I mean, what else could he have done? He could have played Eze instead of Mourinho. I get that. Effectively, Jeff, the way his team played in the first half, you wouldn't have got too many complaints, I don't think, from Arsenal supporters at half-time. And then they're a brilliant goal away from a more than acceptable result at Liverpool. Yes, they could have. I think he did go and try and win the game, by the way. When he makes his substitutions, when he puts Odegaard on and Eze on, he does go and try and win the game. But the level of criticism effectively levelled at him for not starting Eze, because that's the only thing he would have done, I think slightly over the top.
Yeah, and I agree. And people are calling them boring. Well, look, I tell you what, when Odegaard, Eze and a fit again Saga are in that side, nobody's going to be calling them boring. Let's move on to the main story of deadline day. Crystal Palace skipper Mark Gay's move to Liverpool collapsing at the last minute. Former Reds midfielder Danny Murphy reckons he probably needed to behave similarly to Isak and Wissa if he wanted his move.
Every player's individual, and Gay's supposed to be a great lad, so respect to him for the way he's conducted himself. What I'm saying is, the way football is sometimes, this opportunity might never come again. There's a possibility of that.
I get what you're saying.
Now, sometimes an opportunity comes to you in life where you have to do whatever it takes to get to that place, in whatever way you look at it.
Yeah.
He didn't. He decided, I'm going to keep playing, do the right thing. He made it easy for Palace to keep him. If he'd have kicked up a stink a couple of weeks ago, already out the team, telling Parish, if you don't let me have this opportunity, which might never come to me again, all the things that Isak's done, Wissa's done.
Danny encouraging Mark Gay to have behaved in the same way. It is ironic, isn't it? That Gay behaves impeccably, doesn't get his move, and Isak and Wissa, who refuse to play, refuse to train, and they do get their moves. Let's get the thoughts of somebody who knows exactly how to get players what they want. Former Barnsley and Sheffield United player turned football agent Brian Howard. Morning, Brian.
Morning, boys. How are we?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. So, look, player power in the headlines, obviously, mainly due to Isak and Wissa as well. Has player power always been a thing in the game when it's come to transfer windows?
I think so. I think it's how much power you have. I don't think you would do it if you weren't getting advised from maybe the people in your corner. They might be getting advice from the buying club. You've got to be 100% confident that that deal will get done. I mean, both of these got done right on the deadline day. But to then, if they didn't happen, for these lads to then be integrated back into their group, into their team, I think that's really difficult to walk back into a dressing room.
Mm. How much influence do the agents have then, Brian? I mean, I'm not saying in these two specific cases, but are there agents out there advising players, how to behave, how they should force a move through?
Yeah, the agents will obviously advise, but at the end of the day, you work for the player. You work for the client, so you've got to do what he wants. But also, then the advice will come from, you've got to be so confident as an agent that if you're getting your player to do that, you've got to deliver. You are 100% have to deliver.
Hmm. In the situation like the Mark Gahey situation, I mean, from the perspective of an agent, how do you look upon that? Has the agent, and I honestly don't know who his agent is, has the agent let him down by not getting the deal through earlier?
I don't think so. I think, obviously, the two massive ones that everyone's talking about is Wissa and Isak.
Yeah.
Then everyone's talked about Gay. Gay's been professional. He has been superb. You watched him the other night, scored a fantastic goal, even after the game, with the fans. And I think he deserved to get that move. And you talk about player power, all of a sudden it looks like there's manager's power on this side. And Glasner's turned around and said, from the reports, obviously I'm not privy to those conversations, if he's gone, then I'm gone. But for me, that's completely unfair for someone who's acted so professional to be not being able to leave on deadline day in a World Cup year to go to what looks like Liverpool are building something incredible and competing at, I know Palace are in Europe, but competing at the top level. I think that's really, really unfair on the player.
Mm. Well, what do you make of the money spent in the Premier League this transfer window, Brian? I mean, it's a phenomenal amount.
Yeah, it's insane. Obviously, we hear relentlessly about PSR and financial rules and salary cap rules as you go down the EFL. With every deal have to be put into the salary cap management protocol thing now. So it's incredible that the money can be spent. But then I think that maybe deals get done that shouldn't get done. You look at players getting moved on, to balance the books, and especially homegrown talent maybe not getting opportunity because they're 100% profit. So I think some of those rules, I heard someone speaking about it yesterday, that they could change in the future. But for that money to be spent, it's obviously great for the game. It will filter down to all the different levels and keep building, obviously, the game in this country.
So Brian, bearing in mind all the headlines about Isak and Wissa, do you fear that in future transfer windows, more players will see this as a way forward, withhold their labour, if you like?
Yeah, I think so. Look, we as an agency, have had a pretty good window. Unfortunately, there was a couple extras that we want to do that couldn't get done. Now, obviously, we've got to pick up the pieces now the window's shut, and you already start looking forward to January. Now we start thinking, will players now start acting and saying, well, actually, I should have got to move there. What if I act like this coming January? What if I act like this for next summer? So I think it's the type of characters you look after as well. There's many different characters in a dressing room, as obviously Ali would tell you better than me, doing both sides of it. So it's just managing the players correctly. But you've got to have the power on your side to get the deal done, work with the clubs well, and ultimately do what's best for the player.
Brian, here's one for you, mate. It's something that we've learned in the last month or so, that particularly from a player's point of view and an agent's point of view, you cannot leave anything to chance. There's no such thing now, whether it's right or wrong, there's no such thing as a gentleman's agreement, and everything should be put down in a contract.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think you might have listened to the same thing that I saw of Christian Perslow talking about that yesterday. And obviously, I've dealt with him before when he was at Aston Villa. Really good guy, really clever. And I agree with kind of what he was saying, because a lot of the time is you do get on well with clubs. You have good agreements. And when the player's doing well and he's flying and he's under contract and everything's rosy, these gentleman agreements are great. And then all of a sudden, if one thing goes wrong, if the player wants to go, there doesn't seem to be a gentleman's agreement. So, you talk about release clauses, you talk about exit clauses. It's always difficult when you're signing contracts, when you're committing yourself to a club to already think, I need an exit strategy. If you're signing you talk about the most famous one of this window he's on a 3-year contract. If you negotiated a 3-4 year contract and said, oh, but by the way, I want to get out next year, it muddies the water a bit. So they're really tricky conversations, but I think it's set precedent this window with those high profile deals. But there'll be the same sort of deals right the way throughout the Premier League and the EFL for sure. But it's not as publicised. So I think that as an agent and talking to players and clubs, I think those kind of things will have to be put into contracts in the future to avoid this.
So Brian, as an agent, are you glad it's all over? Is it off to the Caribbean for a month now?
I wish, mate. I wish. We've still got bits to do. Obviously, the pressurised deals of the deadline yesterday have finished. We even had a couple yesterday that didn't get done on deadline because bids came in late and people couldn't travel for medicals or couldn't get there in time. So you have the fallout from that. But then you also, that some players aren't moving. You then start negotiations for new contracts. So we've got a few of them to do. And then we've also got some young players that will need to get out into the National League and get some experience. So it doesn't stop, Jeff, I'm afraid.
Brilliant. Brian, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Brian.
Pleasure, guys. Good to speak to you.
A quick text here. Not all players have the disrespect for their parent clubs that Isak has and can be undermined by dirty tactics from the Big Six. Mark Gay is an honourable player who loves Palace. Carlos Baleba is an honourable player who understands that Brighton have given him the opportunity and will let him move on at the right time. Former professional footballer turned agent Brian Howard there. Right, still to come on Breakfast.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. Doing what matters for the trade. Find your local branch at travisperkins.co.uk.
We'll get reaction to Alexander Isak's move to Liverpool with former boss Roy Hodgson and former striker Ricky Lambert. Can anyone stop them now they've got a man who does this?
All I wanted to say, he's scored so many goals.
We're taking your calls as well. Arsenal, City, Chelsea fans, do you still all believe that you can stop Liverpool winning the title? I think that Arsenal, they've had a good transfer window, and Chelsea fans will believe they have as well. 03717 223344. Give us a call. And that was a look ahead with Travis Perkins.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. Bricks on bricks on bricks. Over 40 million available to order with delivery to site. That's one less thing to worry about.
Good morning, this is talkSPORT Breakfast, very nearly 7:50. I'm Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist is with me, and of course Mark Gay's transfer to Liverpool. Talked about all summer long. It took till deadline day until it all fell through. Deal agreed. He was given permission to complete his move, went through the medical. But after Palace's attempted signing of the Brighton centre-back Igor fell through, they refused to sanction Gay's transfer. So he'll be back playing his football at Selhurst Park this season, which is fantastic news for Crystal Palace fans after Eberechi Eze left, of course. Let's bring in comedian and presenter Andrew Mensah to give us more on this, because Andrew is a Palace fan. Well, actually, we thought you were a Palace fan, Andrew, but early sports breakfast presenter Olivia Bazaglo claims you're now an Arsenal fan. You like to explain?
Don't listen to anything Liv says, but I'm a fan of you, Jeff. You guys... You're the only person I wake up this early for to talk football, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm not having that, Andrew. It's very flattering, but I'm not having it. So let's explain it. So you're Eberechi Eze's cousin, yeah?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mad.
Does footballing ability run in the family, then?
If I played with you, you'd think so, but not amongst the top level. Nah. I just tell jokes and keep it moving, man.
Yeah. Hey. In my day, Andrew, they used to call me Chopper Stelling. So just beware.
I like that.
Brilliant. Look, what about Palace? Let's talk about them for a moment or two. How happy are you? You've kept Mark Gay.
You know, it's mental because it's like when you look at all of our top players in the last years, Wilf, Elise, Ebbs, of course, Gay, Wharton coming through, it kind of feels inevitable that they're going to go at one point, if that makes sense. So I think this season, how well we've done, I think everybody had like a daunting feeling that he'd be gone. So even like around the grounds, a lot of Palace fans would just had the feeling that he'd be gone. So to keep him kind of feels like a bit weird almost. Do you know what I mean? It kind of feels, because as you said, like all summer long, I think he was the one out of all the crop of players, Mateta, Walton, even Ebbs, that they thought would go first. So it's like, it's mad that they kind of kept him. Obviously, he had a great summer in the Euros a couple of seasons ago as well. So yeah, he's just like genuinely a top player that we've been able to keep. Do you know what I mean?
Andrew, where would the majority of the Palace fans be thinking about the situation? Are they realistic enough to think, well, the boys have been great for us, you know, and there is a time that they're going to have to move on? Or do they think, or was there some of them thinking, look, I know it's going to cost us in a business sense 30-odd million, but we want Gay to stay?
Man, like, this is crazy. Ally McCoist talking to me. You know? Anyway, that just threw me off. No, that's a legend right there. Now, I think so. I think like a lot of Palace fans understand where they are in the pecking order, of course. But also it's like, it's important not to stray from our model. If you look at all of our top players, they come from, you know, championships, or like we just got, for example, Yeremy Pino just from the Spanish league. And we get those like secret gems that we make stars almost. And I think ultimately we look at these players like, right, they're going to become top players and then we'll get X amount of cash for them. But I think with the Europe acquisition and also winning the FA Cup, I feel like some Palace fans feel like, yo, you know, we could be a top team. We can challenge. We can get in the top 10. And that's, I think it's important for clubs to have that, smaller clubs to have that ambition. Otherwise, football just becomes the Super League, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, it was interesting, wasn't it, that Oliver Glasner said yesterday, you know, before the deal had fallen through, he said this decision will determine the direction this football club is going to take. In other words, whether they carry on being a selling club or whether they become a club, which they already are, obviously, because they've won a cup, but whether they become a club who can challenge, who can go on, for instance, maybe and win the Conference League, who can be a top 10, top 8, who knows what side in the Premier League. It does send out that sort of message, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think so, it does. And I think I just think it's important for small clubs to have ambition, man. Otherwise, it feels like the beauty of the Premier League is that, you know, Palace can win the FA Cup or you know, a team can go away to Man City and get a result. And I think when I was growing up watching football, legit every team had like a world-class player, whether it was Bolton, who had JJ Okocha, you had Leeds with Viduka and all of these players. And it's like, a part of that is keeping those Mavericks in a team that, you know, are special and can create special moments. Like that FA Cup final, nothing can beat that as a Palace fan. Like, and it's those high-quality players that have done that for the fans.
Andrew, I love watching your side. I've got to say, I was at the FA Cup final, Community Shield, and they're one of these teams, if you're a neutral, I'm up north, obviously, you're really enjoying Palace and you're watching them and you're hoping they do well. As I say, those performances were excellent. Is this the best time in your lifetime to be a Palace fan?
Honestly, it's like, I will speak, I do, as I know, Olivia, we do a show, and our producer is a massive Palace fan, and he said it's just literally the best time. He's been through it, like from the Championship to relegation, and right now just seeing the crop of players that they have, and also, as you're saying, Ali, like how they're playing, like they play really well, like defensively strong. Mateta is just a beast up there, and it's just so much. And obviously Palace is like a right football club, if that makes sense. It's like a family club. It's born and bred South London. They make everyone feel welcome. Like when you're walking to the stadium, you can smell the jerk chicken cooking. It just feels like culture. You know what I mean? So it's like to have that success as well, and like so many players have, like, they've been through FA Cup finals and lost, and you know, you had the Pardew dance and they just went crashing down. So to have those fans get these moments, the Community Shield and the FA Cup, it's definitely the best time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, brilliant. I tell you what, I'm still staggered. You mentioned Mateta there. I'm staggered nobody came in for him during the transfer window, but great from a Palace perspective, of course. And I'm hoping too, I think the next home game after the international break is Sunderland at home. I'm hoping Mark Gay gets an unbelievable reception from the Palace fans, Andrew.
Also, what a goal, by the way, innit? I didn't know he had that in him.
I don't think he knew he had it in him, did he?
Some finish. Brilliant.
It was fantastic. Andrew, thank you very much indeed.
Take care, Andrew.
Thanks for having me, guys. Take care, man.
See you, mate.
Comedian, Palace fan, presenter Andrew Mensah there. Ali, we touched on Arsenal. So I've got a text here from Martin in Lynn, was a regular contributor, by the way. He said, Jeff, Ali, try watching Arsenal week in, week out, where we play backwards and sideways in and around our own area. It's a dreadful watch. On Sunday, we had a throw-in line with the Liverpool area. We took a backward throw, 4 backward passes, and it was back with David Raya in goal. Looks good on the stats. Arteta's turned promising players like Martinelli into robots. Football is about entertainment. Arteta is all about data and robotics. After all, look who he learned from. He's had 5 years. We won't win anything major under him. So Martin, very much a critic of Mikel Arteta and Arsenal under Mikel Arteta. Love to know if you agree or disagree. 7:58, we are exactly on time. Coming up in a couple of minutes' time, we'll be talking to the former Liverpool striker Ricky Lambert and discuss what happens to Ekitike now that Isak has arrived. That's next.
Hamilton, now at Ferrari, dares to dream of a record 8th F1 world title. The Tifosi will be hoping the Brits can bring glory back to Italy. To many, Ferrari and Formula One are inseparable. They're the only team in the sport today to have competed in the first World Championship in 1950, are the most successful team in history, and have built some absolutely gorgeous cars. Their first driver's title was won in 1952 by Alberto Ascari. Considered one of F1's most dominant and best-loved champions, he drove the iconic Ferrari 500 and defended his title the year after. It was Juan Manuel Fangio in his Ferrari 250 who secured the team's next driver's title in 1956. Remember, he was world champion 5 times with 4 different teams. Mike Hawthorne, Phil Hill and John Surtees also won titles for Ferrari in the 50s and 60s, and the cars back then were beautiful, and they even sounded great, didn't they? Anyway, Ferrari went 11 years without winning a title until Niki Lauda won in 1975 in the iconic 312T. Throughout much of the 80s and 90s, though, Ferrari looked like they'd never go all the way again. Le Professeur Alain Prost came pretty close in 1990, but lost out to his bitter rival and former teammate at McLaren, Ayrton Senna. It was only when John Todt recruited a swathe of staff from outside of Italy, including Michael Schumacher, that the glory days returned 21 years after their last driver's title. The turn of the century saw the prancing horse sprint to an unprecedented 5 consecutive championship doubles. And after Schumacher left, Kimi Raikkonen reclaimed the driver's title immediately. But despite employing 1,500 people, the Iceman remains the last Ferrari world champion. So, 16 constructors' titles, 7 more than McLaren, and 15 drivers' titles, 4 more than, again, McLaren. Ferrari are truly Formula One's top team. Forza Ferrari.
Good morning, this is talkSPORT Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist and Arnold Clark. Get the UK's best used car deals guaranteed. It's Tuesday, September the 2nd at 8:05 on the way for you this morning. After Aston Villa's dreadful start to the season, 3 games, no wins, no goals. The former Villa all-time top goal scorer Gabby Agbonlahor will join us to address rumours that he is the commentator curse for Villa, having covered both games at Villa Park for talkSPORT, in which Villa have looked a shadow of themselves. It's all down to Gabby. Former Liverpool and Palace manager, England manager as well, Roy Hodgson. He'll be with us after top of the table. Liverpool smashed the British record transfer fee again this summer. But how costly might it be after the deal to sign Mark Gay? He fell through. And Dame Laura Davis will talk us through the European Ryder Cup team after Captain Luke Donald announced his lineup for next month in New York. The Biz has texted and said, imagine if Man United get rid of Amorim during the international break and make an approach for Oliver Glasner. Do you think he's going to stay loyal to Palace? Mischievous but very interesting suggestion by the Biz there. And I've got another one here. Morning, both. You do know every team in the Premier League at least did some transfer business, don't you? Can you talk about other teams, not just LFC, AFC and CFC? It's incredibly boring. And us fans of other clubs are all excited about our transfers. We want to hear about the rest of the league. OK, the talk of this summer has been Alexander Isak. Yeah, I'm sorry, but it has been the talk of the summer and it is the talk of the morning as well. And it's going to be the talk of the next few weeks as well. He makes his debut and so on and so forth. Will he go? Won't he go from Newcastle? It feels like, as that texter just mentioned there, it's all we've spoken about since May. But finally, we had our answer late last night as Liverpool sealed the transfer for a British record fee.
There's a ball over the top, and Isak's in on goal here, cuts onto his right foot, going to pull the trigger now, and finds the bottom corner. Alexander Isak lights up St James's Park.
There's not many places like St James's Park. I think the atmosphere it's very, very special.
Since Isak scored and was named man of the match on his Newcastle debut, ironically against Liverpool 3 years ago, he's been incredible.
With a header down to Isak, booms a second goal. It's another goal. The headlines belong to Isak.
He's as famous as the Angel of the North, that's for sure. We love a striker at Newcastle.
Unfortunately for Newcastle, there's a food chain, and Newcastle aren't as big as Liverpool.
If they do seal Alexander Isak, it's game over.
Alexander Isak confirmed as a Liverpool player.
He's as close to the complete package that you want in a centre forward. Ultimately, Liverpool have sent out a statement.
Yeah, my apologies to all Newcastle United fans. Had nothing to do with me. The producer's name is Ollie. That's Ollie. So Isak is officially a Red. He'll wear the number 9 shirt at Anfield. The British record signing spoke of his delight to finally sign for Liverpool.
I think it's a mixture of what the club is building, but what they're building on top of what the club already is and the history of the club. So I think just me getting the chance to be a part of this, and I want to create history. I want to win trophies, and that's ultimately the biggest motivation for me. And I feel like this is a perfect place for me to grow even further and to take my game and to the next level and help the team as well.
So how's he going to fit in the side? Let's ask former Liverpool number 9. It's a very good morning to Ricky Lambert. Morning, Ricky.
Morning, Ricky.
Morning, fellas. Morning.
Ricky, would you ever have thought about going in on strike to get a transfer?
No. Do you know what? It hasn't been nice the way it's played out. It doesn't normally happen with Liverpool, and it certainly wouldn't have been instigated by Liverpool for him to act like that. I think that came from his agent. Liverpool don't normally act like that, but I'm just glad it's got over the line now.
Ricky, tell me, mate, is it a sign of the times when Liverpool have one of their most, an incredible window, to be honest, you take into account Kerkez, Frimpong, Isak, Wirtz, Ekitike, and we're all suggesting that the one they didn't get might be a problem, Mark Gay.
Ali, it's unbelievable. We've never done this. Honestly, I cannot remember us ever being the big boys in the transfer market. We've always been behind the scenes, getting little bargains here and there, and then we still been competing, mainly down to Klopp. But this time we've gone for it, and honestly, it's good to see. It's good to see we're at the top, and we've been at the top before, and we haven't strengthened. So it's amazing to see that we have just gone out and got everything that we needed. You're right with the defender. We did need him. We did. But you've got to remember, Joe Gomez when we done our best run ever, Joe Gomez was at the centre of our defence for all that beginning of that season. So there's a player there as well. Yeah. But the cover-wise, we probably did need another centre-back.
I tell you what, when Joe came on for the last few minutes against Arsenal, he was absolutely fantastic. Yep. Absolutely brilliant. So look, I mean, back at the other end of the field, though, how does Isak and Ekiteke and Salah and Gakpo, how does that work? Who plays, who starts, who's on the bench?
I think obviously I think Isak will be the main man. I think he will be in the centre, and then everyone will work around that with Salah mainly from the right, but Salah can do a job centre, and he can change over to the left as well. So I think you're going to see a lot of movement from the strikers, and I think that's what we seen last year. I'm really excited to see, because this is the type of striker I feel which will get the best out of all the players around him, especially Wirtz as number 10. I think with this unbelievable movement and pace with Isak now, it's just going to give everyone else more time, more space to damage teams.
Ricky, is it even more worrying for everybody else? Watch the Bournemouth game, watch the Newcastle game, watch the Arsenal game. I think Liverpool will, without doubt, be miles better. They've won those 3 games and they're nowhere near their best.
Honestly, I don't want to jinx it, because I thought the beginning of the season would be our Achilles heel. If we were going to slip up, it would be the beginning of the season. I thought, with a change and what's happened, and I thought we were going to be vulnerable. I honestly did. I thought we might not start as strong as we need to here, and if Arsenal get away or if Man City get away, I was a little bit worried. So the fact that we're sitting top and we played 2 of the best teams in the league, it's amazing. It is amazing. I'm just, obviously there's that worry now, that breathing out a sigh of relief. Oh my God, how well have we done? And then, as the Premier League always does, it kicks you. When you think it's all done and dusted, that's when the Premier League really does get you where it hurts. So I don't think Liverpool will do that, but that's the only the doubt I've got now is complacency, thinking. But I don't think Slot will allow that to happen. Yeah.
Jamie Carragher, writing in the Telegraph today, Ricky, says Liverpool are the new Galacticos and are now the most attractive club in England to play for. Well, that's Carra being Carra, but is he right?
Well, I mean, look at the games we've been a part of up to now. By far, we're the best team to watch. We go to win. We open up. I mean, I was at the game on Sunday, and to watch Arsenal play like that. When we were second best to Man City, we tried to beat Man City, and the players learned what they needed to do to get over that line to beat Man City. Arsenal learned nothing from that game. Nothing. They don't know how to beat us, because they didn't even try. So I was really disappointed with Arsenal, but I thought I was really impressed by the way we played, because we didn't open up too much, because he knew they would caught catches on the counter. So we played a conservative style, hoping that we were going to get the 1-0 win, which we did. But I do think we're the nicest team to watch at the minute.
Brilliant.
Ricky, tell me, I just want a quick win with Ricky. As football does, Ricky, Trent, Real Madrid were always going to get drawn against Liverpool at Anfield. I don't want to ask you about the reception he's going to get. I want you to think, put yourself in Trent's shoes when that draw came through. How's he feeling?
Do you know what? When I joined Liverpool from Southampton, I knew who my first game was going to be, and it was Southampton. Southampton came to Anfield, and it was like he would have known it. When that draw was getting done, he would have known what was going to happen. It's amazing.
Brilliant, isn't it?
Brilliant. Ricky, thank you so much, mate.
All the best, mate.
Nice one, fellas. Nice one.
Great stuff. Ricky Lambert, the former Liverpool and Southampton striker. Hello, Jeff and Ali, says Anthony in Nottingham. Read tribute bands. Have a look out for By Jovi. Obviously, they do Bon Jovi, but they throw in a Ken Dodd cover as well. Coming up, if you weren't listening at 6 a.m. this morning, you missed a thrilling airport story from Ali. Don't worry, the shortened version is coming next. No! Good morning, this is talkSPORT Breakfast. I'm Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist is with you. Remember who made that, Coisty?
Oh, I'm going to have a guess, mate. Was it Pilot?
No, I don't think. I think it was the Motors.
You're right. Was it the Motors?
It was
yeah,
the
you might be
Motors,
right.
yeah.
What a great song.
Great song. And the reason we're playing it, of course, because if you missed the start of the show at 6 a.m, I began by asking Ali why he wasn't alongside me in the studio this morning. And let's just say, I wish I hadn't asked, because what followed was possibly the longest story of all time.
I've got a shortened version for you. How about that? Right, so I'm booked on the 8 o'clock to come down to the city, which is perfect.
1 hour later.
So I normally check in about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. So this is where I should have smelt a rat.
3 days later.
I'm trying to check in at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and they're not allowing me to do it. But around 6 o'clock, I get a text.
Many months later.
Actually, I'll read out the email comes through, right? No, I beg your pardon. I got a text to say the flight is delayed to 9:35.
6.5 hours later.
She said the flight's closed. I said the 9:30 flight is closed at 18 minutes past 7. She said yes.
2,000 years later.
So I'm sitting there, nothing, till maybe well after 8 o'clock, and then it comes up, London to Southend.
1 eternity later.
So, just the climax, I'm looking at my phone, Jeff. Brilliant. Do you know when they sent it, Jeff? At 20:38.
Eventually.
That was a disaster, mate. A disaster.
Thank you for the short version of your travel issues. There'll be a 2-hour special podcast released tomorrow with a full version. Stay tuned for that.
Oh, babe.
The total time of Ali's story was measured at 6 minutes and 14 seconds. But Coisty, it seemed longer. It seemed longer, mate.
I have to admit, Jeff, I did go on a bit.
Look, for all of the listeners who work with us at 6 a.m, look, don't tell us the story again.
No, I won't.
Have you got any message for British Airways at all?
Yes, get yourself squared up, British Airways. You cannot treat your customers like that. Absolutely appalling. And I'm one of the lucky ones. You've got me going again. I'm one of the lucky ones because I can go home and I can jump on, get a taxi back up the road. There was people stranded at that airport. Get yourself sorted out, British Airways. Not good enough.
Yeah. What time did you get in the taxi, Coisty? How long did it take you to get home? What time did you get home? Don't go there. Just don't go there. Right, time now for the latest odds with Coral and John Hill.
The Coral Daily Download on talkSPORT with Coral. We're here for the fans this season. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
John, good morning to you.
Oh, good morning, John.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Ali. I do sympathise for you there, Ali. There's nothing worse, is there, than travel problems. But I don't want to take you off again there. Let's stick to the sport, shall we?
It's not ideal, John. It's not ideal.
No.
But listen, I'm going to ask you a quick question, John. Can a transfer window have a major bearing on your betting for the league? And it probably has, I would suggest.
Well, I expected it to, certainly with that Isaac deal going through last night. But the odds are exactly as I spoke to you this time yesterday. Liverpool still 13-10 favourites, Arsenal 15-8. I thought Liverpool would have shortened, I have to admit, to get this deal over the line. Good grief, it's been a great window for them, hasn't it? If you could come up with a perfect window for Liverpool after winning a Premier League title, surely this would be it. But, OK, they didn't get the Mark Gay deal from Crystal Palace. That fell through in the end. So maybe one less defender than they probably would have wanted. But they've got quality here, haven't they? Their forward line now is, packed with depth and quality, and they're going to be the team to beat. There's no doubt about that, boys, aren't they, from here?
Yeah, sure. They are, and they have had a fantastic win. You just got to bear in mind that they did lose Luis Diaz. Darwin Núñez has gone, and tragically, of course, they lost Diogo Jota as well. So, and Harvey Elliott has gone out of the club. Trent Alexander-Arnold has gone. Gerald Quansah has gone. Look, it's been a brilliant window. It's been a brilliant window for them, but it swings and roundabouts. A lot of players have left it as well. I tell you what, we talk about travel. I was just going to mention to you, John, actually, because I know you're not playing tonight, are they?
No, it was a strange one. I had to do some digging to work out why, but it's because the York Stadium is being used for the Women's World Cup, Rugby World Cup at the moment. So,
right. That's why they're not playing so many games. Yeah,
that's why they've not had so many home games. So I think a lot of the games away from home they've rescheduled. So I have to admit, it's a bit of a shame because it would have been a good time to play York. Okay, they've got a new manager in, but
yeah.
they've not had a great start, Jeff, have they? And they're still favourites to win the league, believe it or not, at 3-1. So we expect them to get it together. So we've rescheduled it for November. No doubt they'll be flying in November when we play them. So bit of a shame, but you're at home to Boston tomorrow, I see.
Yeah, we are indeed. But Coisty, travel issues. Listen to this, Aldershot. It's the reason I mentioned it. Aldershot in the National League. On Saturday, they were away at Gateshead, round trip of 600 miles. 2 of their next 3 games are also away from home. Next up, they go away to Truro, 530 miles. Wow. And then Carlisle, 660 miles.
Wow.
Goodness me.
That is incredible, isn't it? And then there'll be fans that'll do the trip as well, won't they?
They will.
It's amazing.
Yeah, John, it's almost crept up on us unnoticed. England, South Africa, first one-day international at Headingley. Yeah. England favourites?
They are, 8-15 favourites. South Africa 6-4. South Africa coming to this actually beating Australia away from home, so they're in good form. They're a good side, South Africa. But this is the first of 3 games. It's at Headingley today. Day nighter at 1 o'clock. The second game is at Lords on Thursday. I'm going to be heading along there, so hopefully the weather stays off. Hopefully it stays dry. And then Southampton on Sunday concludes the series. So England favourites to win the series. It's the last bit of cricket really for England before I think the Ashes, isn't it? So I think a lot of the Test players are involved in this. The likes of Archer to get some game and Roots involved, Carr. So they put a strong side, and I say it should be a good test for them against South Africa.
John, I had to laugh there. US Open. Yannick Sinner, very, very comfortable. 6-1, 6-1, 6-1. A demolition of Kazakhstan's Bublik. However, it was Bublik's statement after it caught my eye. Yannick Sinner was labelled an artificial intelligence by Bublik.
Yeah, that's right.
Can anybody stop him?
Well, I watched it a little bit last night. It was an incredible performance. The way he was hitting that ball, and Bublik was right. Just nothing he could do against him, really. He's the favourite now, 3-4 favourite, Yannick Sinner. Carlos Alcaraz, obviously, still involved as well. He's 13-10, and then Djokovic 10-1. So it looks like we're on course for another Sinner Alcaraz match, doesn't it, here? But you never quite know. And then in the women's competition, Swiatek is the 8-5 favourite to prevail there. And another thing that caught me by yesterday, I didn't quite notice until I read the paper this morning, we know the teams for the Ryder Cup now, don't we? So this is very exciting. Obviously in New York this year, and not much in the betting here between the two sides, guys. USA home advantage, they're 4-5 favourites. Europe 5-4. So never easy winning in America, is it? But hopefully we can bring back that Ryder Cup 5-4.
John, thank you very much indeed.
Pleasure, boys.
Sean, have a good day, mate.
That was Look at the Latest Odds, all thanks to Correlating plus GambleAware.org. Coisty, that reprise of your story has produced a major response. Griff from Kings Lynn's been back on. He said, hi, lads. Not again. I've only just got over the earlier one. Mark says, hi, Jeff. Please make no more long versions from Ali. And Muteen says, did Ali go to the Dean Saunders School of Storytelling? Coming up, I'll be bringing you 3 teams that I think have had the best transfer windows. That's next.
The Coral Daily Download on talkSPORT with Coral. We're here for the fans this season. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
When Sir Jim Ratcliffe took control of footballing operations at United, the Manchester-born billionaire was somewhat welcomed in as a homegrown hero, ready to save the club from the dark days of the Glazers. But in just 12 months, he became a punchbag for many fans. So what happened? Well, let's take a look and you can decide for yourself. Over the last 3 years, the club lost 300 million quid, and Ratcliffe rightfully committed to sorting that. But what seemed to get fans' backs up is the way he went about it. For example, talkSPORT understands staff lunch options at the Carrington canteen have been reduced to just soup and sandwiches, which the higher-ups at the club say will save them 1 million quid a year. Now, that might make sense for many who don't get free meals at work themselves, but it does get a little bit more picky than that. It was reported that after staff brought some stationery, they were ordered to send sellotape back because it wasn't considered to be essential. And the reward for being Steward of the Week used to be 50 quid, but that was scrapped and replaced by a paper certificate. But it's not just seemingly stingy decisions. In 2024 alone, Ratcliffe oversaw 250 redundancies, and more were announced at the beginning of 2025. Now, while there are people who acknowledge United staff numbers are overinflated, it's the optics which aren't great. Add to the mix the introduction of a flat ticket price of 66 quid for every fan, even children, while Casemiro's on 350 grand a week, and the frustration of fans reached fever pitch. Time will tell whether Ratcliffe's cost-cutting measures will improve outcomes at the club, but one thing's for sure, there's a long way to go for United to be back where many say they belong.
Good morning, 8:34, Tuesday, September the 2nd. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist, and Arnold Clark. Get £750 off any used electric car or home charger. Andy says, Ali does tell a good story. Can I ask him, has he ever been asked to read the bedtime story on CBeebies at 7 p.m? Mind you, it's probably the only TV channel he's not been on. Here's another quick travel story.
Brilliant.
David is a Spennymoor United fan. He says, Spennymoor Town, I beg your pardon. He says, talking about travel issues at the weekend, Spennymoor supporters' bus went to Oxford City's stadium when in fact they were playing at Telford 100 miles away. The bus turned round and managed to get to Telford just in time for kick-off, only to watch them lose 3-0 up the moors, he said. Up the moors, sacked the driver by all accounts, I think.
We shouldn't laugh, however.
I know. 100 miles away. It wasn't even a near miss, was it?
I know.
A near miss. Look, let's head to the phone lines, 03717 223344. How good is it for Palace that Mark Gay is staying? Simon's a Palace fan. Morning, Simon.
Good morning, Simon.
Morning, guys. How you doing?
Yeah, good. How are you
good
doing?
Form, mate.
Yeah, I'm over the moon these days. I'm absolutely buzzing about it. But there's one point, guys, that I'd like to make is that I was sort of looking at the prize money for the Premier League, and my point is, if Palace keep him, I think they could come top 8, perhaps even a bit further down. But if there is a risk of if they lost him, if we come about 16th, I don't think we'll get relegated, but if we come about 16th, the prize money difference is about £30 million if you include the prize money from the Premier League and the TV money. So I think that's worth a risk. I think that's worth keeping him on board.
Simon, I said to Jeff yesterday, I think you make a great point, Simon. I really do. Now, I don't think for a minute you'd be relegated either. However, you take that into account, you know, in terms of the sale, getting the money in, would he keep you in the division? Yes. I didn't think for a minute you go down. But you make an excellent point. But I'll ask you the question as well on top of that, Simon. What would you do? What would you do with Mark Gay now? Would you not be spending the next 2 or 3 months trying to get him to sign a long-term contract?
Yes, I would, mate. But first of all, I think he's such a nice guy. I mean, I look at his profile and he's a really good, honest professional.
Agreed.
And I don't think his head's going to be any different. I mean, the way he played at Villa the other night was exceptional. So I don't think his head's going to be all mixed up, for one. I think that's the first point.
Yep.
Secondly, I think that now it gives Palace time, and especially with the Glasner situation, if they are going to let him go, he could probably go in January, and they could still nick 15, 20 mil, depending on where they are in the division and depending on where they are in the Cup, in Europe, in the FA Cup, and so on and so on. So I think it's left Palace open with a lot of options now. Mm-hmm. I really do.
Simon, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks,
I agree with you, Coisty, though. You know, the football club now should be making a big offer.
Yes.
You know, paying him what he's worth. After all, I think he's a South London boy, isn't he? You know, he's Palace through and through. He's already in the England squad. He may feel very comfortable staying at a Palace side who are going to challenge for silverware again in the future.
Isn't that amazing as well, Jeff? On top of that, we're all sitting here, all of us, 100% confident that he might have been a little bit disappointed. We don't know what's going inside his head, but what we can almost guarantee is he'll go back and show the same level of commitment that he did the week before, the month before, the year before, because he looks that kind of guy.
Yeah, I completely agree. He's been brilliant for Palace, and let's hope that continues to be the case.
Agreed.
And now, talking of transfer windows, which of course we have been doing all morning long, it comes with the territory, doesn't it, the day after the transfer window closes. Some clubs have had better windows than others. And I'm going to try and rank which 3 clubs I think have had the best window. First, though, here's some stats. Liverpool spent a record-breaking £446.5 million during the window. Now, that's what they spent. Just bear in mind, they did bring in significant amounts as well.
Of course, yep.
Chelsea became the first club to recoup more than £300 million from sales. In terms of net spend, Arsenal splashed table-topping £257 million, Liverpool £218 million, Manchester United £170 million, Spurs £154 million. We're talking about over the window, of course, not just deadline day. So, let's get this underway.
Number 3.
Right, third in my list, there are a team who've been in the news constantly for many of the wrong reasons, and that is Newcastle United. Look, they missed out on João Pedro, they missed out on Brandon Boomer, they missed out on Shesko, they've sold Isak, but look at the players they brought in. They brought in, 2 strikers for less than the money they got for Isak, Visser and Voltemade. I might well have mispronounced his name, the giant German. They've also brought in Jacob Ramsey, quality player, Anthony Elanga, quality player, Malik Chow at the back. They've got Ramsdale on loan. I think, Coisty, that Newcastle, after this transfer window, even without Isak, I think they are stronger than they were before the window.
I agree with you, mate, and I'll tell you why. Because once Isak instigated what he wanted to do and get the move, I always felt, and I've always said, that was it. It was up to Newcastle and Eddie Howe to get the best possible deal financial that they could, right? And they've done that. But at the same time, they were always going to lose Callum Wilson. So they needed a couple of centre-forwards. And they've brought in, as you correctly say, Chow Elanga in a wide area. They are definitely, in my opinion, I think looking at it, they've really only lost one starter, because Callum Wilson, who I like, wasn't an automatic starter. Isak was. And was arguably the best centre forward in Europe. I get that, but to replace some Ramsey and all these guys, I agree with you, mate. I think they're stronger.
And they've still got a cracking squad. They've got a cracking squad now.
Of course they have.
So look, that was my number 3. Right, next up, and this may come as a surprise.
Number 2.
My number 2 is Liverpool. Why are they only number 2? Well, of course, they've got Isak. They've got Florian Wirtz, I've got a lot of time for. Hasn't quite settled yet, but he will. Kirkes as well. Host of others, Frimpong. But mentioned the players that they've lost, Diaz and Alexander-Arnold, Harvey Elliott, Joel Quansah, Darwin Núñez, and they did not get Gahey. And that's why I make them number 2, because I just think at centre-back, excellent as Joe Gomez was when he came on at the weekend, then they have a vulnerability there. Konate played well against Arsenal, played very well. Hadn't played so well the previous couple of games. And I just think, they needed something else, something extra in there at centre-back. So that's why I put him number 2, Coisty.
Isn't it strange, though? Because I'm actually siding with you again. And and me siding with you might not, but you'll probably agree with what I'm going to say. See, if they'd got Gahey, I think they'd have been number 1 by a mile. By an absolute mile, but not getting Gahey. And by the way, what I wonder if Hideki Tiki, as you say, Wirtz, Frimpong, Kerkez, they've had a brilliant window, but there still is a question mark defensively. I really like Gomez, keep him fit, and he could be the answer to your problems. He really, really could. Konate was miles better at the weekend than he's been, but there's still a question mark there for me,
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, you agree with me on those 2. I don't think you're going to agree with me with my number 1. But here it is.
Number 1.
It's a North London side. Tottenham. Okay? And the reason I've gone for Tottenham...
I'm dying to hear this explanation.
Right, yeah. Well, it's look, okay, they've lost Son. Well, that's pretty much it. Højbjerg's left and Mikey Moore's gone on loan to Rangers. But that's pretty much it. They brought in, the signings that they brought in, I think Mohamed Kudus from West Ham, I think they paid a lot of money for him, but I do think he's a good player. Xavi Simons, I like very much indeed. I think it's going to be a terrific signing for them. Paulinho, we've seen already what a fantastic signing he could be. And they brought in Randall Kolo Muani on loan. From PSG. Now, look, when I've seen him in the past, I'll be brutally honest, mainly for the French national side, I haven't always been impressed, but he's certainly got a pedigree. PSG on loan at Juventus. They brought him in as well. And I just think, numerically, maybe down on some other clubs, but I think they brought in quality. And I see Spurs having a good season.
I don't disagree with you. The result at the weekend was obviously a disappointment.
Oh, yeah.
But listen, the fact of the matter is, Jeff, I think we've seen enough from Bournemouth already this season, particularly opening game against Liverpool, that they're more than capable of beating them the other day. Absolutely anybody in the day. You throw in Matthias Tell, and Kevin Danso, who would certainly take part in the game. I think they've had a good window. I definitely think they've a good window. I'm not sure of the best window, but I definitely think they've a good window. And I'll tell you what, their best signing might be their manager. He might just be the best signing they've made in a number of years, because I think he's a terrific coach, terrific manager, and he'll do really, really well. The one thing I want to say as well, though, looking at those statistics, isn't it amazing, out of all those stats that you gave us, Jeff, that Chelsea have recouped just about double what Manchester United, Spurs and Neil, have spent, really, which is incredible. The money that they've brought in is absolutely unbelievable. But I'm with you. Still too many wide men.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you're not going to agree with those necessarily, but it's just an opinion. Stay tuned this morning. Later on, I'm going to bring you 3 teams I think have had the worst window. I'm dreading that. Right, let's look ahead to the next hour of the show with Benchmarks, part of Travis Perkins.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Benchmarks Kitchens and Joinery. Get trade prices on kitchens to suit all styles and budgets at Benchmarks.
Yeah, it was one of the busiest deadline days ever yesterday. We'll continue to react to all of the fallout. Roy Hodgson will be here a bit later on. A man who's had to navigate many a transfer deadline day. And also a man who coached Gahey at Crystal Palace. So the perfect person to find out just how he would have handled such a chaotic situation. And that was our breakfast preview with Travis Perkins Hire.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. With 250 hire branches nationwide, it's easy to hire at Travis Perkins.
love to play us in the final, Joe.
Ali, have you got any advice for him?
Oh, he's flying. That man's flying. Keep it going, Gab, son. That you're the housewife's choice, mate. Your commentary, everything about you is fantastic. The only thing I would say to you, mate, is there any chance of you commentating on your team getting a victory?
Well, let's find out, because joining us after being in hiding yesterday morning is Gabby himself. Morning, Gabs.
Morning, Gab.
Good morning, fellas. How are we?
Yeah,
brilliant, mate. Brilliant.
Good. How are you enjoying that commentary?
Well, every game I go to, my team doesn't score, Jeff. So maybe I need to try and do maybe a Spurs game against Newcastle or something, not a Villa game.
I'll tell you what, though, Gab, in all seriousness, we're having a laugh about it, but Crystal Palace, the last couple of times, the game at Wembley and obviously the game last week, they look as though they've got your number.
Ali, honestly, mate, the view you've got at Villa Park from the co-com section.
Fantastic.
Fantastic view. And I was right in line first half with the Crystal Palace back three. And at every moment of that first half, there was 2v1 on Watkins at all times. Richards, Lacroix, Gahey, all had pace as well. Probably all three of them just as quick as Watkins. So every time Villa tried to play a through ball, they would get there first. Gahey would come over comfortably and cover. And Mitchell and Munoz at all times as well would get back into a five. They had no shame, Crystal Palace, in sitting back in a five and frustrating Aston Villa.
Gab, isn't it brilliant? Isn't it brilliant, mate? I was just going to say to you, I'm sorry to interrupt you there. Isn't it brilliant? No, you touched on it, and Jeff will know exactly what I'm talking about. See the position you've got there. Seeing the whole pitch.
Wow.
You just see everything. You just see everything tactically. It's amazing, mate.
And what Crystal Palace were doing in the game as well is they were saying to Aston Villa, okay then, push Matty Cash on, push Martson on, push maybe John McGinn or Tielemans on, and that works in our favour because we're going to win the ball back and we're going to hit you on the counter-attack. So I'm sure any Aston Villa fan will not want to see Crystal Palace for a long, long time because comfortably they beat us again 3-0.
Gabby, let's look at what's happened in the window. Obviously, you kept Emi Martinez. Will Villa fans welcome him back with open arms?
I think they will, because what he's done for the club, been an outstanding goalkeeper, some of the saves he's made, best goalkeeper in the world for 3 seasons. But there will be some fans that sit there this morning and say, you know, you sat at Bodymore Heath training ground yesterday waiting for the call to come, and the call didn't come. You know, and it makes you think, why was you desperate to go to Manchester United, a team that's not playing European football? By the time Manchester United even threaten in the Premier League, you might be 36, 37 years of age. I mean, he turned 33 today, Emi Martinez. So Aston Villa fans will be disappointed, but you know what football's like, lads. I mean, one decent save for Martinez in the next game and it's all forgotten.
You touched on it there, Gab. I'm probably asking you a question you're not able to answer. But what would his thinking be at this stage in his career? The only way I can look at it and say he must think Manchester United are a bigger club or are going places. That can be his only reasoning, because logically, or the flip side of it would be, Gab, is he actually more worried about what's happening at Aston Villa?
It might be, Ali, but there's been talks that this has been happening since January, when Aston Villa was still flying in the Champions League, that, you know, he was wanting to leave since January this year. So it's very strange for me. The last home game of the season, he looked upset, waving to the fans, and everyone thought, okay, he's going to leave, but maybe the likes of Jacob Ramsey have left, of course. Duran left. Diaby left. You know, Rashford and Asensio didn't get signed. Maybe he looked at it as a project of Aston Villa. Yeah. Has it reached his limit in the next couple of years with the Champions League qualification? But I was very disappointed because the Aston Villa fans love him. You know, his song is the most sung at Villa Park, at away game. Emi Martinez, the world's #1. I'm not sure you're going to have the same energy from Villa fans going forward with Emi Martinez.
Just a quick word on the other transfer day signings then, Gabby. Obviously, Harvey Elliott came in late last night. Jordan Sancho on loan, and Victor Lindelof. What do you make of them?
First of all, Lindelof is good cover, free transfer, good cover for Konsa on that right-hand side. Vida lost the Sassy, didn't work out. He went back to Chelsea, so you need your 4 centre-halves. I look at Sancho. I look at that as maybe a bit of a panic buy on the last day of the window. Didn't work for him really at Chelsea. No other club really wanted to pay the wages that he's on. But Marcus Rashford comes to Aston Villa, done okay. Maybe you'll see Sancho have this similar sort of impact as Marcus Rashford did. Some games top class, some games not looking as interested as he should be. But the one for me is Harvey Elliott, because Aston Villa were in for Asensio, but Asensio's 29. Harvey Elliott is 22. Youth. Ripped it up at the under-21s in the summer. You know, he was a star player for England. Last season, only 18 appearances in the Premier League, 5 appearances in the Champions League. At 22 years of age, lads, you need to be playing every week. You need to be training during the week, and I'm going to start on a weekend. It's all good winning all them trophies at Liverpool, but I'm sure part of him said to himself, I want to be a number one choice in an 11 when Saturday or Sunday comes, and Aston Villa crying out for a player off that right-hand side or a number 10. He will play a lot of football this season at Aston Villa.
Yeah, good player. Like him a lot.
Me too.
Gabby, thank you very much, mate.
Great to see you, Paul.
Right, have a good one, lads.
Take care, mate.
Villa's former record Premier League goal scorer, Gabby Agbonlahor there. Simon says, looking at my top 3, Jeff, that's an elitist view from you. May surprise you as a Toon fan. I think there's an argument that Sunderland had the best window, giving themselves a chance of safety. You know, Simon, I wouldn't disagree with that.
No, I know.
The likes of Diarra, Adingra, Grant Xhaka. Yesterday they brought in Brian Brobby and Bertrand Traore as well. They have really gone for it.
Good point.
And somebody else had texted as well about Everton. And I'd agree. Everton, I think, have had a good window too.
So do I.
Coming up, we're joined by former Palace, Liverpool and England manager Roy Hodgson, a man who knows Mark Gahey very well. He'll tell us just how he's likely to respond to the saga that unfolded yesterday.
MP3 medium wave,
From the toffees
online,
to the
on your mobile and on your smart speaker. New season, 500 live games.
Premier League teams got a load of crazy
talkSPORT
nicknames.
Sports Update
Ever
with
wondered
Trusted
where they came
Trader.
from?
Leave even more customers as happy
Let's
as a
start with
clam.
Everton.
Join
They're
the
dubbed
Trusted
the
Trader
Toffees, but
professionals
why?
and
Well,
watch your
because when the
business
club was
bloom.
formed, just down the road there were two local coffee shops. The ancient Everton Toffee
With your
House
headlines,
and
it's
Mother
just
Nugget
coming up to
Toffee
2
Shop
minutes
were
past
big
9.
fan
I'm Nick
favourites.
Ellaby. Good morning. Finally,
They
where
say
he
if you
wants
can't
to
beat
be.
them, join
Liverpool's
them.
new
And
number
that's
9
exactly
calls the
what
club the
Ipswich Town did when it
perfect
came to
place
their
to
nickname.
take his game
Down
to the next
Tractor
level.
Boys used to be chanted by their opponents as a way of putting the
been a
team
long-
down for their farming
long
background.
journey, to get
But
here.
during one
But I'm
game back
super
in the late
happy
90s,
to be a part
Ipswich
of
were
this.
1-0 up.
Alexander
and they decided
Isak
to
joins
flip the
from
script.
Newcastle for a British
1-0 to
record
the
of
Tractor Boys, they sang,
£125
and
million.
the nickname was born.
Liverpool's total summer
Let's
spend
head
is
to
also a
Leicester,
record,
famous for more than just a red,
£415
well,
million.
orangey
But they
cheese
couldn't
and
get
Jamie
Mark
Vardy.
Gahey over the line from
Leicestershire is
Palace.
also the
We
birthplace
understand
of
Oliver
fox
Glasner
hunting.
threatened to
Yes, the
walk if
foxes.
Gahey was sold.
Next
Former
up,
Liverpool
turns out
forward
apples
and
not the
fan of
only
the
fruit
club,
that
Ricky
don't grow far
Lambert,
from
told
the tree.
talkSPORT
Bournemouth's
Liverpool
nickname,
did
the
need
Cherries,
Gahey.
comes from the fact the club's
You've got to
stadium was
remember Joe
originally
Gomez.
built right next
When
to a
we've
bunch
done
of
our
cherry
best run
orchards.
ever, Joe
This
Gomez
next
was at the
story
centre
actually
of our
involves
defence.
two club
But the
nicknames.
cover-wise,
It
yeah,
started
we
with
probably
Crystal
did
Palace.
need
They
another
were having an
centre-back.
absolute nightmare run
Edison
back
is
in the early
honoured to have
70s.
spent 8 years
They'd been relegated
dominating the
after a
Premier League and
terrible spell,
conquering
and
Europe
manager
at
Malcolm
Man
Allison
City.
decided
Edison's now off to
enough was
Fenerbahce for
enough.
12
They
million.
wanted a new
City are
nickname,
expected to
something
confirm
strong,
Gianluigi
fast,
Donnarumma this
and
morning from
destined for success.
PSG. Johan Wisser says he's
exactly like
happy
an
to
eagle.
sign for one of the
But there's
biggest
more to
clubs
this
in
one.
the Premier League.
Brighton were in
He's
search
joined
of a
Newcastle
nickname
for
too,
50
and
million
Palace
plus
finally
5
gave them
in
what they
add-ons.
needed.
And Jamie
In a
Vardy,
heated
sta
match between the two
organizzando
back in
una festa.
1976,
Sorry to any
Palace fans
Italians
began
listening, but
chanting,
Vardy has
"Eagles,
joined Serie A
Eagles."
new boys Cremonese.
clever
More on
Brighton
this at
fans came up with
talksport.com.
the perfect
And
reply.
Yannick Sinner has been described as
Seagulls.
tennis AI by
Not all club
Alexander
nicknames have a
Bublik. The
crazy
Kazakh
story,
was
though.
dispatched
Take the Gunners.
6-1,
That just
6-1,
comes from the
6-1
fact a group
in just
of
1 hour and
munitions
20
workers in the
minutes
Royal
as Sinner
Arsenal
joins
factory in
Djokovic
Woolwich set up
in the
the
US
club in
Open
1886.
quarter-finals. Naomi
On
Osaka
the flip
has
side,
beaten
some
2023
nicknames
champion
seem
Coco
simple,
Gauff
but there's
to
a
make
bit
the
more
last
to
8
them.
as well.
Like West Ham.
talkSPORT.
Hammers is actually nothing to do with
News.
the ham part of the name.
Find out how the government's
Comes from
own
the fact
building
the club used
safety
to be called
regulators
Thames
delaying
Ironworks
families moving
FC
into
and
new
was made up
homes
of
by up to a
workmen and
year.
shipbuilders.
And the UK has donated
So
£1
next time
million
the away ends
to help with
chanting their
rescue
crazy
efforts
nickname,
after
you'll
an
now
earthquake.
know exactly where it came from.
A very good morning to you. It is very nearly 5 minutes past 9 o'clock. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist, to 9 o'clock. Get the UK's best used car deals guaranteed. Now, it was the main story of deadline day. Would Mark Gahey be walking out for the rest of the season to glad all over? Or you'll never walk alone? Well, after a yo-yo day, we now have our answer.
Getting with a colour! What a moment! Oh, wow. A captain's contribution!
Oh, wow.
Mark Gahey has just scored one of the Premier League goals of the season so far. And if this is goodbye, you couldn't have a better finish, a fairy tale finish perhaps, to his Crystal Palace career.
Mark Gahey, agreement now between the two clubs. £35 million fee agreed. He will undergo a medical in London.
Yeah, he's going to Liverpool. Gary's going to Liverpool. He'll be at
today?
Liverpool. He'll be going to Liverpool.
Of course.
Yeah, he'll be going to Liverpool.
It's our decision what happens. So from my side, it's clear we have to keep Mark because we don't have a replacement.
Does he stay or does he go now? That's the burning question that we've been asking for the past couple of hours. And it looks like, Jim, that move to Liverpool is off.
I think there is a chance that this opportunity might not come for him again.
They had Palace over a barrel in that last year of his contract. Maybe if they'd have gone in at 50 with a bit more force earlier on in the window, maybe they could have had the player tonight.
Gahey was informed by Parish and Glasner, and like I say, he understood the situation.
Yes, So Mark Gay, he looked like he was off to Liverpool, but in the end he stays at Crystal Palace. It was broken last night that Oliver Glasner threatened to walk out if Gay was sold. So great news for Palace, but how will Mark Gay react? Let's get the thoughts of a man who's managed both of the clubs involved in the Mark Gay saga. Former Palace and Liverpool boss, former England manager as well, Roy Hodgson. Morning, Roy.
Good morning, Roy.
Hello, Jeff and Ali. How are you?
Yeah, very good.
Very
thanks,
well,
mate.
thanks.
Look, Mark Gay here. I think everybody would say his behaviour has been exemplary during the course of this whole saga. But Roy, he wouldn't be human if he wasn't a little disappointed. How would you expect him to react now?
Well, I worked with him, of course, for about a year and a half. I found him an outstanding individual, not just an outstanding footballer, but an outstanding individual. And I suppose that's been shown quite clearly by his behaviour during this long drawn-out saga. He's the person I feel really sorry for in this, of course, because, I mean, maybe if right at the beginning it had been made clear that his task ahead would be to stay at Crystal Palace, there was no question of him leaving in the transfer window, and I'm sure maybe he could have got his head around that as well. But, you know, having been led to believe, really, and we've all been led to believe that sooner or later a deal would be done between the two clubs and he would be allowed to move, I guess that his head for the last period of time at least has been in the fact that he's going to move, but he'll remain very professional and keep on playing for the club despite the uncertainty of when that move would come about. So he's the loser in the situation. Palace should be the winner because he's such a good player, and to have a player of that calibre and a captain and leader of that calibre still with you should be seen as advantageous. But it remains to be seen, of course, how upset he may have been by what's happened during these past, well, not even days really, is it? It's the past few hours, although I think that the transfer situation could have been sorted out much quicker by both clubs.
It's funny, Roy, looking at it, because Jeff and I have obviously been talking about it at length this morning, and the one thing that we're almost 100% sure of, and you've touched on it there, model professional, as disappointed as he will be, he'll come back and just carry on as normal for Palace and play and give everything 100%. Flip side of the coin, Roy, you look at a couple of players in particular, Visa and Isak at Newcastle, who, in my opinion, haven't handled their situation particularly well at all. Looking at it, Roy, from their point of view, has that surprised you? Has it disappointed you? Or does it even concern you longer term for footballers?
It doesn't concern me longer term for football because it's been a part of the game for a long time, as you know very well yourself. I don't think it reflects well on football. I don't think it reflects well. You know, the transfer window itself is becoming an exciting period of time for the average punter who maybe without an interest in a particular club or a particular player enjoys the saga and the drama and the will it, won't it. But I don't think that's good for football, really, I must say. And it's all very well saying that, you know, being a model professional is the thing to be. And I, of course, would certainly back that wholeheartedly, having worked in football with players all my life. But I'm sad to say that if you desperately wanted to move, then it doesn't look as though it's the right thing to do going forward. It looks like the right thing to do is what Wieser and Isak have done, and unfortunately that I don't think bodes well for the game, because people who are really desperate for a move be thinking, well, hold on, if I do what Mark Gay did and play right up to the end, the chances are I won't get the move. And the other thing I would say is just that it's all very well saying, well, it'll happen next year. But I mean, the fact is Liverpool are a very special club. Everybody knows that. They are, you know, a world famous club with world famous stars playing in their team. They win things, they win championships, and they win European championships. I would think of having a great possibility to do that this year. So it's not easy to turn that down and say, okay, I was on my way and I've done my medical, but hold on, you're pulling me out, so okay, let's move on. I mean, I hope he can do it, Mark, but I feel really sorry for him. He doesn't deserve it.
No, I mean, I'm sure Palace fans have thought about the possibility, though, that maybe Palace now start to work on offering Gahey the sort of money which actually might keep him at the club. Bearing in mind, he's clearly got a love for the club. He's got a love for the area, Roy. They've won silverware. He's in the England side as it is. Do you think it's possible he could be persuaded to stay on a longer-term basis?
Well, anything's possible. We did that for years with Will Zaha. But, of course, the problem with that, and Steve, certainly privately with me, regretted the fact that, his wages put him on such a pedestal at the club, partly because, of course, it meant the wage bill of the club went up enormously. Because the thing, once you double some players' wages in the club, if you want to keep him, unfortunately, you end up, if not doubling, putting a good 20, 30, 40% on most of the other players into the bargain.
Roy, see, looking at the window, obviously we're talking about Gahey not making the transfer to Liverpool. Again, look at what they have done in the window, whether it's Kerkez, Frimpong, Isak, Wirtz, Ekitike. I just think, looking at Liverpool, Gahey aside, they've had a remarkable window. Oh,
absolutely. I mean, it seems to me that, obviously the money isn't a problem. It wasn't a question, we can't afford another 40 or 50, we can only squeeze out 30 or something. Then I would say that they've missed the opportunity to have an even better window, because there's no doubt, you mentioned those players, but I mean, Gay, I would put right up there alongside Isak in terms of those, and Wirtz possibly in terms of the quality of those signings they've made. But of course, they were trying to make this a Wirtz and Isak signing for £35 million rather than the 100 and 125 that they paid for the other two.
Roy, I just want to ask you about another of your former players. Eberechi Eze made the move to Arsenal. I mean, how exciting is that for Arsenal fans and actually for England fans as well?
Yeah, very exciting. I mean, he's a very, very good player. He, like Mark, he's been exceptionally well in a very good Crystal Palace team. I think that they'll miss him as well. I mean, it's all very well when you have players of that quality in a team like Palace, and for 5 years we really had Will Zaha as the outstanding light, as it were. And now, of course, there's several outstanding lights in the current team. But the bottom line is that if you really, really wanted to pursue that argument that this player is so valuable that even though his contract's about to end, we can't afford to let him go, then I think you'd have had to use the same argument with Eberechi Eze. It's all very well say we need a replacement, but the bottom line is that if you're Crystal Palace, it's very, very difficult to replace players of Eberechi Eze and Mark Gay's quality. It's hard enough for Man City, Liverpool and Man United with the money they've got to find replacements for any good players that they think they're losing. For a club that are not at the very, very highest echelon of English football, it's even harder. You're lucky enough sometimes to get them. And I think the trick, of course, is to do what Palace have done. They've used money wisely to buy other ones, and thanks to Doug Friedman, they found so many good ones for very little money.
Roy, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us.
Great to talk, Roy. Thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
The former Liverpool, Palace, England manager, Roy Hodgson there. It is always fantastic to talk to him as well.
Of course it is.
Coming up next, I'm dreading this bit. I'll tell you which club I think has had the worst transfer window.
slide in a champagne supernova.
Good morning, 9:19, Tuesday, September the 2nd. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist is with us live from Glasgow. Our biggest competition to date is now live. We're giving you the chance to win Oasis tickets, plus, listen to this, £25,000. There'll be two lucky winners, not one but two. They'll win a pair of Oasis tickets when the band return to Wembley on the 27th of September. And alongside those tickets, we're giving you the chance to win that whopping 25 grand. So for all the details on how to enter this amazing competition, listen up right now.
18 plus, UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win, text the word Oasis to 83338 and you're in the draw. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission. Or you can enter for free by calling 0330 880 338. All entries must be received by the 19th of September at 9 a.m. This is a talkSPORT limited promotion run on talkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com.
And the very best of luck to you with that, and the very best of luck to me with this, because the transfer window's finally open. Thank goodness. Some of you might be thinking this morning, you won't be alone, by the way. No more players kicking off because they can't get their dream move. No more Chelsea signing two wingers every day, and thank goodness no more transfer Tinder as well. We all swipe left with that. So it got us thinking this morning, which three clubs have had the worst transfer windows? So I've got my hard hat on, and I'm going to give you my view of the three worst transfer windows, and I'm sure you're going to disagree, but nevertheless, we're going to give it a go. So, third worst transfer window is...
Number 3.
Sorry, Gabby, but for me, it's the Villa. It has to be the Villa, you know. Okay, they kept Martinez, which is fantastic. But look, didn't get Paqueta, which you know they wanted. They had to sell Jacob Ramsey, which I'm absolutely certain Unai Emery did not want to do. And as I say, with Martinez, I think they probably wanted him out because, you know, at the end, it's a huge amount off the wage bill. And if you look at the players who've left in recent times, from John Duran, Asensio and Rashford, who were on loan, Leon Bailey, Diego Carlos. I like Harvey Elliott a lot, who they brought in. I really do. They brought in Jadon Sancho as well, you know, who might turn the clock back, who might produce what we know. Victor Lindelof. For me, I'm their hands are tied. I know that, guys. I know their hands are tied, but not impressed. What about you, Coisty?
No, I'm with you, Jeff. I'm really concerned. I loved going to the Villa last year. I love going to Villa full stop. But you know what we're talking about? I think this says quite a lot. We're actually concerned about players that they've lost. And you mentioned three there. Rashford, Asensio and Disasi. And the three of them were in loan already, Jeff. I think that kind of speaks volumes a little bit. And I know they've obviously got reasons for doing it and their hands are tied. But I'm a little bit concerned for Villa. I really am. And Gabby, I've got to tell you, mate, I've got to say.
Yeah, difficult. It's a difficult time for Villa, for Unai Emery, you know, and all the brilliant people who surrounded him there as well. Right. Next up, number 2.
Number 2.
Do I have to do this one? Honestly, do I have to? Okay, I'm away for a few days after this, so that's okay. Manchester United. Don't you laugh?
If I was you, I'd have done that at 10 to 10.
Right, listen. Brian Mbeumo, Matheus Cunha, yes. Yeah, good signings. The jury is very, very, very definitely still out on Šeško. No question about that. And I say that with all due respect, because it is out. He's not had any real opportunities so far, so it's too early to make a decision. Look, they've got rid of, you know, some of those they wanted out of the door, Anthony and Sancho and Garnacho. But look at the hits they've taken on them financially, absolutely humongous. But look, the two principal reasons why I think United have had a poor transfer window, they needed to bring in someone with an engine in that midfield. I thought it was absolutely essential, and they haven't done so. Yes, they've kept Kobbie Mainoo, but Mainoo hasn't got the sort of legs that's required to drive that midfield forward, for me at least. And they've gone for the cheap goalkeeper option. Now, Lammens might turn out to be a fantastic goalkeeper. It's just a humongous step for him to go from playing for Royal Antwerp in front of 11, 12, 13,000 people in the Belgian league to huge crowds at Old Trafford. We've seen how difficult that is before for Manchester United goalkeepers. I wish him the best of luck. But for me, Emi Martinez was the obvious choice for Manchester United. What do you think, Coisty?
No, I'm disagreeing with you. I'm disagreeing, mate.
Coward.
I'm agreeing with you there right now. No, I just think Manchester United, are in serious transformation period again, right? And I just think it's as important for them to get players out so they can continue to bring players in. I don't think they'll be judged at all on specifically this window. I think the players they've brought in, and Buemo, Cunha, Sesko, obviously jury's out a little bit, and forward areas have improved. But I just think the change needed at the club is a positive one in the players that they've let go, to tell you the truth, Jeff. I mean, Ericsson, obviously, and Evans have been two fantastic players, and served the club, served football well. Lindelof away to Villa, Rashford, Garnacho, Højlund, Sancho. It's key if you're going to improve, you've got to make changes. And I think it's a significant United getting rid of a few as it is bringing in a few. So I would let them away with that window, mate. I really would.
Yeah. And somebody just texted in to say, he was going to be amazing, Sesko, and he was going to sign for Arsenal, but now he's unproven. He is unproven. He's unproven. That is one absolute fact. It's an anonymous texter, Anyway, look, Manchester United, I think they needed needed Martinez, they needed a midfield player as well. I hope Šeško succeeds. I really do. But we shall see. They can't afford to have the sort of season they had last season.
No.
Simple as that.
For sure.
Okay. And finally, the team who has had the worst window.
Number 1.
And I apologise for this. And the reason I'm going to say this is I just can't get excited over any of their signings. And that is Leeds United. I don't know who's going to score the goals for them. I really do not know who is going to score goals for them. I can't get excited that they brought James Justin in. I can't get excited that they brought Dominic Calvert-Lewin in. I can't get excited that they brought Noah Okafor in, and so on and so forth. They needed, for me, a couple of strikers that you could sort of rely on to get goals. And, Calvert-Lewin, you can't rely on his fitness. There's definitely a player in there. Okafor, didn't pull up any trees for Milan, 7 in 39. Doesn't pull up any trees in the Swiss national side as well. Nmecha, another one, not a prolific goal scorer. That's what worries me for Leeds United. I think Sean Longstaff will do a good job in the middle of the park. I'm pretty sure of that. But I worry for Leeds. Simply worry for Leeds. Coisty?
Could not disagree, mate. I could not disagree. You're looking at the newly promoted sides, and I think it's fair to say most or more people would say Sunderland and Leeds have a slightly better opportunity than Burnley to stay up. That might not prove to be the case, right? But looking at it, particularly Sunderland, with their movement in the window, Burnley obviously had a well-deserved and fantastic result against Sunderland at home, so time will tell. But I take your point with Leeds. There's nothing exciting at all. Scoring goals would be an absolute concern in that league, and you've got to score goals to stay in the league. And you look at Sunderland, we mentioned Sunderland, Lefebvre, Diarra, they've obviously lost Bellingham, they've brought in Siddiqui and Mandava and Talbot. You look at the players, Granit Xhaka, I mean, they're having a go. They're really having a go, Sunderland. And if you're looking at it objectively, if you're a Sunderland fan, you've got to be saying, well, we've got promoted. We really needed to strengthen, and we've done that. So it's certainly from the board and the owners and the management, you can tell there's a serious, show of intent. I'm not sure. I'm agreeing with you, Jeff. I'm not sure Leeds have done that.
Yeah. Thanks very much indeed, Coisty. You've all got your own views. I get that completely. Even some Manchester United fans are texting in now saying, they're baffled by their current transfer window. But we shall see. Let's face it, it's just guesswork from all of us at the moment. None of us quite know how things are going to turn out. 9:30, just a reminder as well, watch talkSPORT on your TV. Samsung, LG, Fire TV, Apple TV, Chromecast, Android, Google TV, Prime Video, wherever you watch, we will be there. Coming up, we turn our attention to Europe announcing their Ryder Cup team for New York and find out whether this team has what it takes to win across the pond. And stay tuned as we finish the show with Ali giving his take on how Scottish football has fallen so far behind the English game. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with Jeff Stelling and Ali McCoist.
Tyson Fury, Floyd Mayweather, Canelo Alvarez. Just hearing these names makes you think money and the hundreds of millions of dollars, pounds or Saudi riyals in boxing. But that's at the top. At the bottom, it isn't quite the same. Even for those on the rise, there's not an awful lot of cash in the boxing world. And if you're just starting out, well, it can be a very costly exercise indeed. But don't take my word for it. Here's the former European champion, talkSPORT's Spencer Oliver.
You're turning professional and you're boxing, let's say, York Hall on a non-televised fight. You have to sell tickets to earn any money, but you have to cover the wages of your opponent as well. So if you don't have the ability to be able to sell enough tickets, you effectively have to pay to fight.
A far cry then from Jake Paul facing Mike Tyson in 2024, when the purse was reported to be around £48 million. But the vast amounts of cash lining the top dog's pockets isn't the norm in a typical fight.
Let's say you're lucky and you get between 5 and 10 grand. You're going to get 10 grand max for that. 10% goes to the trainer, 25% goes to the manager. Then we've got the tax man to pay as well. So we're cutting that money in at least half. So now you've got 5 grand for a 10-week camp. So you're talking about a guy here earning, he might be clearing 500 quid a week. How do you support a family on that? So boxers chase the dream. And, you know, there's probably 2% of them that actually make it.
So say you do make it and you start to rise up the ranks. Strikers Boxing, a training academy, says the mid-tier fighters can earn more, somewhere between £10,000 and £50,000 a fight, depending on record, profile, opponent and popularity of weight class. It's only at the top.
9:35 now. Amid the chaos of transfer deadline day, Europe captain Luke Donald announced his Ryder Cup team to travel to Bethpage Black just outside of New York to try and defend their title against the USA. Donald, winning captain, of course, in 2023 in Rome, has made history by making the fewest ever changes between 2 Ryder Cups, and he's explained why.
Certainly can't hurt, can it? I mean, I think we have a lot of great memories and experiences to draw from Rome. I do realise, though, this is going to be a different challenge, and we'll attack it from a different angle. Yeah, I think, you know, just going down the Ryder Cup points list, you know, the top 11 have made this team. John is the other one. Obviously, he didn't play many counting events, but I think it just shows that we were pretty close with the qualification system, and yeah, very happy with the strength of those 12.
Well, let's get a bit more on this. It's a great pleasure to say good morning to 4-time major winner Dame Laura Davis. Morning, Laura.
Morning, Laura.
Morning, Ali. Morning, Jeff. Morning, Ali.
Pretty much as expected, wasn't it, from Luke Donald, Laura?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, as he said, it's going to be such a different task out in New York, and the fact they had such a good time in Italy together and really came together as a team. I think it was, I don't think there would have been that many decisions to make. Possibly the one that might have been a bit unlucky was Marco Penge, because Matt Fitzpatrick's obviously he's up in the top 11, as you just said, but he's not got a great Ryder Cup record. He's only won 1, lost 7 matches. So I thought that could have been the only possible difference I could have seen. But you have to say the 12 he's got are absolutely superb and all playing really well, which is good.
It's amazing, Laura, looking at it. The only change, actually, is the 2 brothers, Rasmus, coming in. It's remarkable. But I'm going to ask you, and it's a question that always interests me, Laura. In terms of football, I look at football now, and I think travelling away from home does not affect players or teams in the same way that it used to, for a number of reasons. But try and explain to me, please, the difference, what it will be for those guys getting into Bethpage Black just outside New York, the atmosphere. I mean, Luke Donald's already called it a beer pit.
Yeah, well, I mean, Luke doesn't leave any stone unturned. He'll have done all the research. He'll know how volatile, well, not volatile, but how vocal the New York crowds can be. So, yeah, playing away from home, as you said, like football. I don't know why the transition in football is, but certainly in the Ryder Cup, I think we've played 11 times. We've only won 4 away from home. So that just shows how difficult it is to win over there. But that comes around, you know, that's what the boys have got to overcome, because I think if you look at the 2 teams, match them up, very, very similar indeed. For me, the only reason we won't win this is because if we don't get on top early and quieten the crowds down, and that's your home advantage. It's as simple as that. We saw it at Marco Simone 2 years ago when we had the home advantage. And the Americans just couldn't overcome it. They came with a good run on the Sunday and nearly turned it round, but just that away support and with the golf, although you're a team, you're individual, and especially on Sunday when there's 12 points up for grabs, is one thing being with your teammate and a few of the helpers, the behind the scenes people, the vice captains being alongside you. But on that Sunday, when it really matters, you're on your own out there, you and your caddy, maybe 1 or 2 walkers with you. And it can get very, very difficult indeed, especially if the scoreboard turns red. You want it to be blue all day long.
Goodness me, though, we've got a strong dozen there, haven't we? A lot of experience, a lot of winners in there as well. But Laura, I just want to turn the clock back a couple of weeks or so. What did you make of the decision of Keegan Bradley not to play for the US?
Do you know, I think he's been very clever, because he's probably had that in his mind all along. I'm not going to play, but I'm going to string this lot along because we were all saying, oh, it's going to be a huge mistake. And I actually spoke to Paul McGinley last week. I was doing a day with him, and he said he wished all the people from the outside would have shut up about it, because it kind of played into Keegan's probable plans that he was never going to pick himself, but he wanted to make this big splash that, and he even left the last pick down. Normally they do it alphabetically, but he even left it where he wasn't going alphabetically. So the drama came down to the last pick, and now he looks like a very clever man. So I think it's a shame for us that he's not a playing captain. I mean, he should be in the team. He's 11th in the world, and he would comfortably have got in on for another captain, would most certainly have picked him. But yeah, clever stuff from Keegan there.
Laura, does it surprise you at all? I'm thinking Olympics, I'm thinking World Cup, I'm thinking Ryder Cup. I actually think the Ryder Cup in recent years has become one of the most interesting, watched and focused events in sport across the world. Has that surprised you?
Well, I suppose, yeah, when you mention the things you've just mentioned, and the Ryder Cup is right there up alongside, as you say, World Cups, Olympics. And I think so many people play golf now, and so many top sports people play golf. It's their second choice of sports. And everyone just loves it. And everyone loves a team competition. It's all very well seeing these guys and girls over the year winning lots of prize money, but this one's not about the money, although the American team did want to get paid this time. It's not about the prize money. It's about a team going up against a team, and that always captures the imagination. I can't wait. I'm really looking forward. I'll be over there on the Monday, and really looking forward to feeling that atmosphere, even on a Tuesday, which is the first time I'll get up there.
Will we win it, Laura?
Yeah, go on. I'm going to say yes. Of course we will. But tell you what we have to do. We have to be ahead going into the singles. That would be my biggest shout. But that's where we're at our best. And then it's just, can we hang on? And it's if we've got a decent lead going in the singles, they will come with a run, because they always do in the singles. But I think our players, especially Tommy's win, that's elevated him one more step up. If Rory plays well, Tommy plays well. Obviously, John Rahm always plays well. We've got a great chance.
Can't wait, Laura. Can't wait.
Just a quick one, Laura. We did okay in the singles in 2012, if I remember.
Absolutely, yeah. The Miracle at Medina, yeah. That came. That was amazing. That's what we want. I don't know what we'll call it. The Miracle of Medina, something like Bethpage.
The heart wouldn't take another day like that. Wouldn't take another day like that. Laura, thank you very much indeed.
Take care, Laura.
Thank you. Bye.
Kirsty, are our flights booked yet?
Flights are booked. I've had Scott on already. I will be down this evening to see my big pal tomorrow morning. I was just going to say to you, Jeff.
I meant, are our flights booked to New York?
Oh, mate, we've got to go. We've got to go. I thought you meant me coming down tonight.
No.
Oh, mate, let's get on it. You and I have got to do the show from over there.
Well, apparently we were both flying out BA, but they're refusing to take you now.
Well, listen, I've got to say about the golf, a quick mention. I played in Big Andy, a great lad up here, charity golf day down at Loch Lomond yesterday. And it was fantastic. The course was fantastic, Jeff. We had a brilliant day. Boys raised a lot of money. I played with 3 lads, lovely lads. Big German lad called Per, he was brilliant, and Darren Finlay. And we did fantastically well all the way around to the 15th, Jeff. And then you guessed it, the heavens opened like you have no idea. No idea, mate.
Good lad, fair weather golfer though.
Correct.
Scott said the Leeds board have failed Daniel Farke this summer. He's constantly asked him post-match interviews for attackers and been utterly let down. But Tim says we will stay up by continuing to keep clean sheets at home. No worries there, marching on together. Coming up, so the English Premier League is as strong as ever. But what on earth is happening north of the border? We take an in-depth look at the issues facing Scottish football next.
Okay, guys, very good morning. It's Tuesday, 2nd September, of course. This is talkSPORT Breakfast, just gone 9:47. After Arsenal were beaten 1-0 by Liverpool on Sunday, White and John were joined by former Gunners double winner Emmanuel Petit for his reaction. And it's safe to say he's not a fan of what he's seeing from Mikel Arteta at this moment in time.
Okay, you brought some players, important players, but I don't want to see, because Mikel is Spanish, I don't want him to go step by step even further, to the like of what Enrique has done, a few years ago with the national team, in Spain, or even Guardiola sometimes when he was trying to do with City, it was quite bored to watch. And I just want them, to don't forget that if you want to win games, you have to go and kill them.
It's a funny one. I think there's a little bit of over-the-top reaction to Arsenal's performance at the weekend. I really do. I genuinely do. I understand that some of the guys may be a little bit upset about I'm not playing Eze instead of Mourinho. But hey, I think they're a fantastic goal away from a reasonable result, I've got to say. Now, elsewhere, on to the main story of deadline day. Crystal Palace skipper Mark Gay's moved to Liverpool. Well, he'll be disappointed because it collapsed at the last minute. And former Reds midfielder Danny Murphy, well, Danny reckons he probably needed to behave similarly to Isak and Visa if he wanted a move. How sad's that?
Every player's individual, and Gay's supposed to be a great lad, so respect to him for the way he's conducted himself. What I'm saying is, the way football is sometimes, this opportunity might never come again. There's a possibility of that.
I get what you're saying.
Now, sometimes an opportunity comes to you in life where you have to do whatever it takes to get to that place, in whatever way, you look at it.
Yeah.
He didn't. He decided, I'm going to keep playing, do the right thing. He made it easy for Palace to keep him. If he'd have kicked up a stink a couple of weeks ago, already out the team, telling Parish, if you don't let me have this opportunity, which might never come to me again, all the things that Isak's done, Wissa's done.
It's interesting, it really is. I mean, I take Danny's point, but I think being professional still is the right thing to do. And I obviously listened to Roy Hodgson this morning. I think Roy agrees. Danny thinks being professional maybe doesn't get you what you want, and he might be right, And Michael Owen obviously agreed, because Michael tweeted, behave badly and get the move you want, behave like a gentleman and miss out on the opportunity of a lifetime. No prizes for guessing how players will act in the future if this is the result. Hopefully, wee man, that is not the case. But deadline day it certainly never disappoints from Peter Odemwingie, believe it or not. I remember that one. That was as if it was yesterday. Incredible that was. Forced a move to QPR himself, to De Gea's dodgy fax machine. And who could forget the legend himself, Harry Redknapp, hanging out his Range Rover discussing his latest budget signing. Great memories. Over the years, we've been treated to some classic moments, but what actually is it like for a player on a day like that, you might well ask? Well, ex-Manchester United defender Phil Jones told talkSPORT exactly that.
To be honest, I think it's a bit different to what you sort of explaining it. Obviously, you'll have training, the Sky Sports maybe on in the background, and you're watching it, and the little ticker at the bottom comes up, the yellow bar, and you're seeing who's signed for where, and you're aware of different players who could potentially go to different clubs and stuff. But I think in terms of the club itself, if you're at that club, players will know what's going on. Players will know where that player is going or incomings that are coming. So it's basically that's just a bit of confirmation that it's happened, sort of thing. But I don't think that we're not all huddled around the TV watching it, or I'm pretty sure they go home to the families and not even watch it.
Now, speaking of deadline day, let's bring in a man who I can exclusively reveal has a sleeping bag and a tent just outside the studio. It is, of course, the king of deadline day himself, Jim White. Jim, a very good morning.
Ally McCoist, good morning to you. Yes, I was sleeping in reception overnight here in the news building. Various politicians who came in to go and talk radio stepped over me as I was waking up this morning after a long night with people like Alex Crook and Ben Jacobs. But the Isak story dominated it, but then there was a twist in the tail late on, Ali, and you and Jeff were talking about this when it was announced that Mark Gahey would be staying at Crystal Palace. I mean, like everybody else, including Simon and myself, did you think, Ali, he was going to join the ranks at Liverpool?
I did, Jim. I can't lie to you. And I was listening, as I always do, to you and Simon in the morning. And Simon was 100% positive with some justification, I have to tell you, about Gahey going to Liverpool. But it's funny, Jim, it's very strange. You look at the window that Liverpool have had, and it's remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. Kerkez, Frimpong, Isak, Wirtz, Ekitike. It's amazing. But the one that we're talking about, maybe not as much as Isak, but the one that we are talking about is effectively the one that got away. Because there is a train of thought, Jim.
Yeah.
And I get it, that they probably needed to strengthen that department of their team even more than getting Isak in.
Oh, absolutely. And Ali, people ask me, like, how do certain things happen on deadline day? What's the justification for it? How do they come about? Crystal Palace, we understand, had even shot a farewell video for Gahey, which has since leaked on social media. So, I mean, even those within the club were had budgeted for Gahey heading to Liverpool. It was all done. Ben Jacobs was even talking about a car, and the flashing lights are on, the hazards are on, getting ready to take Gahey out of there. He was having a medical in London, and he was on his way. But, I mean, nothing surprises us anymore. I've got to be honest. I mean, over so many years of doing these days, expect the unexpected. That is always the watchword. And honestly, yesterday did not disappoint. And Ali, the thing is this, a £3 billion spend.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And I'm just saying that we were talking about it last night, Jim, and we're listening to you guys. I wonder what Jurgen Klopp's thinking. Do you know what I mean? I actually wonder what a penny for his thoughts would be ideal. But getting back to the Gahey one as well, the one thing that seems to come out of the whole saga, I don't know if saga is the right word, but the whole experience, and speaking to the well-respected and brilliant Roy Hodgson this morning, Jim.
Yes.
He was at pains to say he actually felt for Mark Gahey. He actually felt for the lads. And I think to a certain degree we all do. However, what he did say is what we all think and we can all expect to happen. He'll just go back down the road. He'll roll his sleeves up and he'll continue to be the great professional that he has been for Crystal Palace over recent years.
Yes.
And that's important to mention.
And that is important to mention. And Ali, closer to where you are, Yusuf Chermeti has joined Rangers from Everton, as you know, in a deal worth £10 million. So the 49ers trying to make some kind of an impact there. It's understood that Rangers will pay an initial $8 million for the striker, $2 million in add-ons. And the fee is the biggest fee paid by Rangers since they signed a certain Norwegian back in 2000. I find it amazing, right? I really do find it amazing. And you know me, Jim, there is nobody on this planet hopes he scores, hundreds of goals for Rangers. Absolutely. Yeah.
But at this moment in time, all transfers are a gamble, Jim. Of course they are. But I would suggest this is a very big one because he hasn't got a fantastic goal scoring record. That's for sure. They've let Dessers go. Dessers is away, so they've got Danilo there. But he's clearly going to come in and play, without doubt.
Yeah.
But there's already one or two of the lads thinking clearly, like myself, they want to wish him well and want him to score. But would the money have been better spent on less of a gamble? Would you have been better spending your $8 million going and getting Sima, who played and did very well, who's just left for $4 million, and Cherny, who I think has just gone somewhere for about $4.5 million? Would that money potentially have been better spent going and getting two players rather than spend the full 8.5 or 9 million?
It's a good point. It's a good point.
Jim, time will tell, mate.
Ali, I get stopped by a Rangers fan yesterday in London Bridge. They're everywhere in London, of course, as you know, and Celtic fans. But this fella asked me to ask you one next time I spoke to you. And we're live in talkSPORT, and we may as well do it now. The 0-0 draw on Sunday. The fella said to me in London Bridge yesterday, ask your mate McCoist, does he recognise either of the old firm at the moment?
No. I'll give you a simple answer, mate. No. But, as I said to Jeff, it was a terrible game. They've had terrible results in midweek in European football. Terrible. But last year Celtic did away fine in Europe, Jim. I mean, very unlucky in Munich, and it's only 3 or 4 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it may be, since Rangers were in a Europa League final.
Yes.
So recent performances would indicate that they're miles away from that. But I think we're just maybe a wee bit quick at the moment to say, you know, it's all over, this, that, and the next thing, because that can change a little bit quickly.
Yeah.
But, mate, I need to back up the guy who spoke to. The game on Sunday was as poor as I've seen in a long time, my friend. It was really, really poor. But you've got a big show coming up with Simon, mate.
We have indeed. Mr. Jordan has just waltzed into the building. I'm looking forward to touching base with him. And, of course, we'll pick over the bones of what went on yesterday. Ally McCoist, thank you so much, as always,
Brilliant,
for setting
Jim.
us up nicely.
Lovely. Have a brilliant show, and I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning.
Ali, thank you very much indeed. Somebody called Jim White is on the way with Simon Jordan at 10 o'clock. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. It's a good old show, let me tell you. We're bowling up to 10 o'clock this Tuesday morning, live in talkSPORT.